Morning to you on a 8th day of October 2014. Welcome to the Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron show here on KOAN, KVNT. Bonnie Cameron's sitting over there. She's got about 15 scarves on.
It's cold.
Glenn looks like he just got done chopping wood.
That's right. Alaska man.
And I am doing something that I rarely do.
Long sleeves.
Well,
Smiling?
I was downtown, and I had my short-sleeve golf shirt on.
Whoa.
And I was walking downtown. I had to walk about a block and a half, and I'm telling you, it was cold.
Yeah.
And I said, forget this stuff.
You're becoming an Alaskan.
I went back home, and I had my winter clothes in boxes because I never wear them. And I grabbed the sweater, and I put it on. And I thought, it's so much more comfortable outside with this sweater on.
It's actually
It's
enjoyable.
unbelievable. It's not torturous. I don't have to sprint from my car to the place that I'm traveling to.
You gave in. Alaska beat you.
But it's so much more comfortable.
One of the dumbest explanations in the history of ever.
I actually walked slow
Right.
when I was outside yesterday, and I enjoyed the fresh, crisp air.
Oh,
It was very comfortable.
it is. This is
And
the
this
best
morning-
time of year. We have the best weather.
This morning,
As long as you're ready
No.
for a little bit of
Good
it's sunny.
weather.
It's sunny. It's sunny. It's sunny. It's sunny. It's
it's
sunny.
cold. That's not good weather.
It doesn't matter. You put a coat on.
Glenn, the eternal optimist.
So, like this morning when I walked from my car to the door at the studio, I didn't have to run. I was able to enjoy the walk, and it's
That's
so much
nice.
more comfortable.
I broke out my big coat today. I mean, it's huge.
No, I'm not going to go that far.
I mean,
That's just
fur around the
ridiculous.
hood and
Someday.
everything.
Yeah,
Sunday.
Faux fur, of course.
but it makes
Not that I
such a
care.
difference. It makes such a difference. So I'm optimistic for the summer. It's not going to get colder than this, right?
Oh, you mean for the winter?
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
is pretty much as
This
cold
is
as it
it.
gets.
Yeah, we're done.
As long as I get below, 30 or anything, I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
569-1080. I got some disparaging news from a number of sources yesterday. All confirmed for me that there's a poll out that shows Bill Walker leading Parnell by 2 percentage points.
Who was this done by?
I can't say.
Oh.
Confidential. And I was also told that Sullivan has an 8-point lead. So that's the good news. I don't know, Glenn, how do you feel? Which is the bigger race in your mind?
Sullivan.
Nationally?
Yeah.
How's Alaska going to survive another Sarah Palin, though?
Well, Bill Walker cannot be Sarah Palin because Bill Walker does not have an 88% approval rating.
Okay, so
And
he won't have as much leverage.
If he is vindictive, since we've seen it
I don't
before.
think he's vindictive.
Okay, I agree. See,
Yeah.
now you're making my point.
Okay.
You're proving what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin had power. She knew how to use it, and we didn't know who she was. So I don't think Bill Walker has any of those things going for him. And really, I just don't. I don't know that. Here's what. If I will take the people who say they're conservative are going to vote for Bill Walker, what I believe that they believe. Bill Walker said, you guys have settled the taxes, the tax issue. Senate Bill 21 is the law of the land. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to move forward. I am not going to do anything about that. That is settled. That's what he says. So, if you take the most positive approach, and a lot of people do that with politics, a lot of people take the most negative approach. So, depending on which side of the coin you're on.
Here's how I look at state government and Alaska's role as a government. When you look at the federal level, the Mark Begich, Lisa Murkowski's, Frank Murkowski's, Ted Stevens, those guys, their role is to resist and to stand up to the feds with every ounce of everything they have, right?
Yes.
That's their main responsibility. Don't let the feds come in here and roll over us to the degree that they can stop it. Now, an argument could be made that Ted Stevens had a lot of bark, but he didn't have any bite. He brought a bunch of cash in here and he traded, wealth for freedom. Then an argument could be made on that. I'm not going to bring that up now, but there's no doubt Mark Begich has felt miserably in that role. He's just completely rolled over and said, whatever you guys want, come on in, EPA, shut us down.
I'm looking forward to hearing him tell me his biggest win on convincing somebody to change their vote on ANWR.
Yeah, well, he'll give you a 20-minute filibuster.
Oh, no, I know he
Yeah.
will, and we'll have to be strong, and we'll say,
Yeah.
okay, I want to know somebody whose vote we knew before you went in there. Tell me anybody whose vote you changed on directional drilling.
And he'll tell you about some senator that he brought up here, and he's close, and
I don't care about clothes.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I mean, the reality is Begich has absolutely no power for helping Alaska unless we get a Republican Senate too.
But back to the state's role.
Yeah.
I think our role for the state politicians is to create an environment that is conducive to investment for industry. Balance it out. Don't give away the farm. But that's the main responsibility for the, in my opinion, for the governor and the legislature. Make Alaska a good place to invest in without giving away the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
No, I don't think.
Okay, tell me what you think.
Well, I guess I haven't put a lot of thought into it and answering it this way, but the state government has a much bigger role to play in Alaska. I think the state government is about a third of all of the money that comes in or does anything goes through state government. State government is a huge player. It is redistributing wealth vastly, dramatically, because it owns all of our resources.
The state?
The state does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's state on behalf of the people, right? State is the agent that owns in common all of the resources of the state of Alaska. Like most northern socialist states, like Norway and Sweden and all those other places, basically the state has a larger role to play than just that. So I guess I would look at it a little bit differently. The state has got to make this not only a good place to invest, but a place that we can live.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. I didn't say it's the only thing. It's the most important thing. We have to be a place that those who invest in resource development want to invest here. That's the number one responsibility of the state government. I don't say it's the only responsibility.
I like putting it. That's the first thing that they need to take care of. If we're not a good place to invest, we really have no chance because
Exactly.
we can't all live off government, and many of us don't want to.
And if we had to pay for the government that we have today, we'd be paying 80% income tax.
Yeah, we would be paying what is it, $17,000 for every man, woman, and child
to run the state government as it is now.
To run the state government,
without the oil industry.
If we didn't get any federal subsidies. In other words, if all the money came from the people of the state of Alaska, if we didn't have an oil industry.
Yeah.
Well,
which
and
would be impossible.
I was going to say too that for senators, it's to defend the Constitution.
Oh.
For a governor, it's to defend Alaska.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Right.
That's just
But
those are
that's
phrases.
to me that's main role.
I'm getting specific
defend
here.
Constitution.
I'm getting specific here. That's a phrase. What does that mean? That's like when Sarah Palin said,
well, that
maximum
means
benefit
that
of the,
means like
of the
when
people. That means higher taxes to her. To other people, it's investment.
No,
we'll take a break.
okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
6:14.
Five, 6'9", 1080. Join the conversation. KOAN. There's a lot of so-called experts out there claiming to have the key to success in business for a price. Are you ready for real business advice you can trust without a fee? Then don't miss Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Advice from people in the know. Technology, finance, taxes, and more. Business people helping business people take their skills and services to the next level. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
Tomcat kills up to 12 mice per bait block, faster than Decon. What will we do with all of these dead mice? Tomcat presents Dead Mouse Theater, and the critics are raving. They solved my mouse problem and renewed my faith in theater. I'd like my mice dead, but dead mice that can act are even better. Tomcat got the mice out of my walls, onto the stage, and into my heart. Dead Mouse Theater, open to the public this fall at tomcat.com. Tomcat, engineered to kill. Last bait block based on no choice lab tests. Time for me to dose to death.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080.
You very rarely say stupid things. You really do, but that was really.
Okay, well, what'd I say? What'd you say?
Well, I was talking, you guys were talking about it would be fun to be a male person, and I said, yeah, if you lived in San Diego. And then I said, I really don't like the cold. And then Glenn said, no, most people don't. And then I said, then why is it that we have
he said most people don't mind the cold.
Don't like the cold. And then I said, well, why is it that we have a few 100,000 in the whole state, and San Diego has a few 100,000 per city block?
Right.
That's very nice.
How do you explain that?
Yeah. Well, most people figure out how to put up with the weather because we're talking
Put
about
up with the San Diego weather?
No,
we're talking about mailmen and why they would like their job, and that you're saying that, well, they can't possibly like their job because the weather's bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have things like jackets.
Yeah.
And we have warm cars.
I'll tell you what.
And we have
make a deal.
warm boots.
Let's make a deal. When it gets down to 10, why don't you get your fancy jacket and go sleep in your backyard for one night?
Oh, this is a good
if it's
comparison.
comfortable.
I'll tell you what, how about
it's
when I
nice.
was 10 and 11, I go out and deliver papers for an hour and a half every morning, trudging through the snow.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was a pleasant experience.
But I got paid for that.
You're making it sound like it's a bad
I didn't
deal.
mind it.
They do get paid well.
You realize when people say, I don't mind, people never say, I don't mind going to the beach. People don't say, I don't mind a nice, sunny, warm
people
day.
do say that. If they don't want to go to the beach, but they're going there for somebody else, they probably do say, I don't mind it.
Well, the point is that they do get compensated well, at least the post office, the mailmen who've been there for a while. The new guys, not so much.
You want to hear my take on the mail delivery service?
Yeah.
It will be gone somewhere in the next 3 or 4 years.
I don't think that's true, but it should be gone.
No. Well, let me tell you why.
All right.
Because they're going broke?
No, well, that's not the only reason. The reason is that environmentalism wins out over unionism.
Wait,
because
big environment beats union.
Yeah, in the end, environmentalism is a religion, and unionism is a power struggle, right? And so, as we've seen here about the bridge, I mean, what could possibly be better for unions than building the bridge across the Connect Arm? Who wins? Big environment. And they win almost every time. I mean, there are very rare circumstances, Walker being one of them, where the environmentalists are going to lose. So are the pro-abortion people. They're going to, but both of those groups lose. But everybody else on the left wins. But for mail carriers, because there is a huge drive, it's in schools right now, to go paperless, as much paperless as you possibly can. Well, this force keeps mounting and mounting, and so I do believe that electronic delivery of all mail will occur here in the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, your bank wants to go paperless. Your credit card wants to go paperless. Everybody wants to go paperless. But what you're forgetting is the money. The government makes a postal employee take some of his cash and give it to the union boss. That's power the big environment doesn't have. Big environment is a religion. Those who belong to big environment's religion are sold out. They're jihadists. They'll take anything down to make sure a shovel never hits the ground. But there's no power greater than the union, because the union gets cash. The union is allowed to extort money from people.
Unions were for the Keystone Pipeline, environment wasn't.
And we're going to get the Keystone Pipeline with a Republican president. Here's the thing.
Oh, well, with a Republican president, but I'm saying who won so far?
But here's the thing. Barack Obama has so damaged the left His approval ratings are lower than any other president we've ever had. That's a lot of bad presidents.
I don't know why he's damaged them. He's done everything they ever wanted.
No, I'm talking about today.
Being the view of what he's done.
The perception of the left has never been more damaged today.
Oh, from people in the middle, people who are up for grabs.
Anybody who's not a hard leftist.
Yeah, okay.
The independents, what do you call them?
Common sense, independents, libertarians, conservatives.
Yeah, the left has been so discredited under this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think big environment is in for some rough times in the next few years.
I hope so. I hope we roll back EPA.
The big problem is, and if we do get, if conservatism has a renaissance, there's still going to be these leftist judges in place who are going to legislate from the bench and shut down the Kinnicon Bridge because there's a bird that's, there's, instead of 20,000 of them, there's only 18,000 of them now.
Right,
exactly. Let's shut down the bridge.
Right.
So that's the main thing. But I think in the area of popular opinion, I think in the political arena, big environment's in for a rough time. I believe that same with trial lawyers, but the one faction that is so strong and will continue to be strong until we become right-to-work states across the board is big labor, because they've got a funnel, a gushing funnel of cash. Vince Beltrami is sitting there with his warehouses of cash saying to himself, who do I want to be governor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want you and you to get together and run on the same ticket. Yes, sir, Mr. Beltrami, can I have my cash, please?
Mm-hmm.
That's how powerful the unions are.
Okay, well, you have your view of it. I have mine. I believe that we're not going to have mail delivery service, and maybe it's not 3 or 4 years, but it's not too long.
Unless it's election season and they all want to get their little flyers out.
No, because I truly believe that they will electronicize all mail. Essentially, what they'll do is they'll give you an email box that is secure and government run, and then they will send your email to it.
Oh, heaven forbid.
I'm just telling you that's my guess as to what they're doing.
Government-run email box. That
Well,
just
the
gives
reason
me
is
chills.
because they have to deliver. They have to deliver legal things, and they can't deliver legal things to a generic email box.
What about all the Amazon boxes and online ordering?
That's private. That's private sector. That's FedEx and UPS.
Right.
The post office has nothing to do with it.
I'm just guessing
do the ground
that will be
delivery,
that will be the intermediate, that somehow you'll have to have some essentially your email will become your legal address, and I don't know that they'll allow Google to give you a legal
Glenn, I agree with you. I think we should have got rid of the post office 10 years ago. I haven't mailed a letter. I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years.
Are you saying that I'm right about unions not having the same strength as
No, I'm saying you're right about getting rid of the post office. Yeah, I remember I did my first story on this like 6, 7 years ago on KFQD, and it was like they had lost $2 million a quarter or something, and it was a
$2 billion.
No, I'm talking about back then. It was like $2 million a quarter, and it ended up being $8 million for the year. And I'm talking about, why do we have this service? Nobody uses it. It's all junk mail. In 2013, they lost $5 billion.
$5 billion.
Yeah. And it's going to probably be $7 billion next year. It's going to be $8 billion next year. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
If the thing is bleeding, it is a useless service. Nobody uses it, and it continues to exist. Why?
Because they pre-funded the retirement program.
Yay.
That's what's doing them in. The Senate, I think the Senate voted on it or something. Anyway, it's to where they have to pre-fund their retirement program, and it's made them go broke. So they're kind of doing themselves in.
Their seventh year in a row they've lost money.
Mm-hmm. That's when it all turned around for them in a bad way.
Yeah. No,
so in other words, they're paying their way.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make sure that the current.
Well, the guys who've been in there forever,
yeah,
they want to make sure they've got money for them. And the new guys coming in, they're not paying hardly anything.
So anyway, but when I look at it, I agree that a factor in it will be conservatives will come on board because it's hemorrhaging money. It is a massive
I agree with you. I think,
but that the core, the key, if there was no environmental movement, I don't think they'd ever get rid of the post office. I think going paperless is what's going to force them out.
Yeah.
In their current form. I mean, I think there'll always be a delivery service, but again, I think it'll be some kind of government-run secure email server.
So maybe all this big environment, big union will just make themselves collapse. They'll collapse in on each other. One day, anyway.
Here in the state of Alaska, the number of jobs held by environmentalists, because each business now has sort of environmentalist wing of it, because you have to have an environmentalist to figure out how to fight the environmentalists and fill out all their paperwork and all this other stuff. There's a good argument to be made that they have forced out of business and they have closed down and they are shutting off a lot of development of business in the state of Alaska right now.
Oh, sure.
Pebble Mine is a great example of that.
Yeah. So sad. It's a religion, as you said, Glenn, and it's an unreasonable religion. And every environmentalist I've ever had on the show, if you talk about mining, I don't favor mining. Well, I don't favor Pebble. I don't favor.
You drive a car?
No. Well, the question is, give me an example of a mining or a mine that you would favor. You think it's doing a responsible job. Well, we judge each project individually, and but give me just one example. There's like 1,000 of them globally. Well, give me one mine anywhere. Well, they don't like any mining. They don't want a shovel to hit the ground, and that's what makes them so discredited, right? Because it's a religion. And Stephen Haycox, who is an absolute, I know you don't like this, and he's not a full-blown communist, but he's clearly a socialist. He writes for the Daily News, and I can't understand anything he writes. I honestly don't. But we had him on the show, and I was able to ask him questions so I could understand what he was saying. His main philosophy about the state of Alaska is that it should be left untouched and pristine for generations to come. Wow. And just the very fact that we put this big, nasty, ugly pipeline straight through the middle of it, we betrayed future generations. And every time we change the landscape of Alaska with anything man-made, we are betraying future generations. That's his vision of the future of Alaska.
Wow.
And he said it right on the TV
And
show.
the only way that he can hold that, by the way, for those who think, gosh, that seems so strange, he works for the university.
Yes.
He works for government.
Yes.
His power comes from government. His paycheck comes from government.
His pension.
All of his good things come from government. And
I should have asked him.
That's what he knows.
What I should have asked him, I said, what about the building you work in? What about the home you built here?
That is the best question ever.
I never thought of that. Yeah. What about you betrayed future generations?
What about the footprints you leave when you go hiking?
Yeah.
Oh.
You've betrayed future generations because the neighborhood you live in,
it was okay,
and the house that you built,
they
were not going to be able to enjoy your neighborhood pristinely and untouched.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a consumer.
Bizarre.
Yeah. It's critical for people on the left. They're all like Al Gore is a great example, but all liberals do it. And Havelock is another good example. They do not hold themselves to the same standard that they hold businesses, certainly, or anybody who came after them.
Well, I just believe that we should conserve and take care of the planet. It's my Al Gore.
No.
Thanks for explaining that.
As
soon as you have to explain it.
You know when you have to say who you're impersonating.
That it was bad.
You're not doing it right. 629, Glen Biegel Mine.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
With KOAN News, I'm Ann Kenda. State health officials say the risk of an Ebola outbreak in Alaska is lower than it is in the lower 48. But as a precaution, they're distributing guidelines to health providers to let them know what to look for. An earthquake drill has been set for October 16th in Alaska. The Great Alaska Shakeout will teach people about dropping, covering, and holding during earthquakes. A previous drill was held in March on the 50th anniversary of the Great Alaska Earthquake of 1964. Black bears are common here in Alaska, but New York's Central Park is trying to figure out how a baby black bear got there. The female, about 3 feet tall, was found dead underneath a bush and was partially concealed by an abandoned bicycle. The bear has not been seen in Central Park outside of captivity in many decades, and there's no record of one being shot in Manhattan since the year 1630. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Sunshine and clouds, chilly for this afternoon, high 36. For tonight, mostly clear and cold with a brief flurry, low 20. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow, high 39. Cloudy skies tomorrow night, low 32. Friday rain, high 45. Saturday high 48. Hot talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
The traffic jam. A stifling halt to your thrilling drive. But in a redesigned 2015 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, that interruption is at least tolerable. With the most luxurious interior in its class and an innovative touchpad, the all-new 2015 C-Class is as exciting to experience standing still as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. To your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC, starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for the 2015 C300 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, registered, transportation charge, and dealer tax. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Just 10 miles north of the entrance to Denali Park is the town of Healing. It's a beautiful town, abundant wildlife, clean air, and Alaska's largest coal mine. Now you're probably wondering, can a coal mine operate in harmony with a national park? Ask the locals. They'll tell you it can. And
manage the many documents that matter. Legal Documents 101. Now that ought to be a course. If the document is important, the company is important.
Royal Business Systems has been a leading provider of high-quality business technology and services since 1990. Royal Business Systems provides HP, Okidata, and Kyocera printers and MFPs, and support recognized throughout the industry as best in class. Come to Royal Business Systems for the total document solution you need to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Don't call 1-800-WHO-CARES. Call Royal Business Systems at 563-4118. That's 563-4118. Or visit us at akcopy.net.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time.
Strong. You ever read him? Glenn, Matt Walsh? He does not pull punches.
Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
In a world where right versus left, zealot versus dogmatic, pipelines versus pipe dreams, one man steps into the gauntlet of rhetoric with flags of truth, justice, and honor. The Tom Anderson Show. Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. on KBNT 92.5 FM and 1020 AM. The Valley's only rush hour news and political forum. Are you ready to rumble? Tune in to the Tom Anderson Show on KBNT.
Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
National Pizza Month Special. 333-8000. Or order online at Sicily'sPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot Talk KOAN, man.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
$6:35. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. 569-1080. 569-1080. That's the number. If you'd like to join us, 569-1080. We're on KOAN, KVNT. Glenn?
Yeah?
You had something you wanted to bring up?
About taxes, about NOM, or about marriage?
I don't know. You go just.
Well,
pick one.
marriage. I trace the demise of marriage back to one statement. As soon as this one statement became prevalent, that why can't two people who love each other get married? Marriage is never about love before. We didn't care about it. Didn't make any difference to us whether you loved your spouse. You were responsible for your children. You had to figure out how to bring each other up, and you had somebody else to take care of. It was really about sacrifice. That's what it was always about before. Now it's about love, and so in the end, I think marriage's demise was sort of pre-configured or prefigured.
Well, marriage is initially about love. You marry people because
A marriage is a contract.
it's a covenant.
Most marriages
Technically.
were arranged, so they weren't about love at
But
all.
you don't think that's healthy, do you?
No, well, actually, I think marriages that are arranged are far more successful than marriages that are not arranged. Not that that's any good judgment about any of this stuff. I don't think anybody cares anymore. I think for most people, me saying marriage is not about love makes people go, what? What do you mean marriage is not about love?
That's what I did when you said that.
Exactly. But in the end, basically, it wasn't about that. I mean, you look back and you hope people love each other, and I think most of the times they often do, and I think that's basically what it was. But as far as the government was concerned, government could care less. The government never cared about whether two people loved each other. They cared whether or not they raised their children, so that the children were respectful for other people. Well, that's all they cared about.
But let's look at marriage as marriage takes different forms. Well, you got the courtship, and you determine, okay, is this someone I want to spend the rest of my life with? Have I fallen in love with them? Do I love them? Of course, I've heard someone say you don't fall in love because you fall in love, you can fall out of love. You either love or you don't. It's a choice. But you make a determination. You make a decision. You employ discernment, and you say this is a person who has the type of character I want. The type of I'm attracted to this person. I like this, that about the person. They're not perfect, but I'm willing to enter into a covenant with this person and say that for the rest of my life, there will be no one but you in my life, romantically. I mean, you are going to be my priority. I'll be your priority, and we're going to enter into a covenant. But in the initial stages of that, love is all everywhere, right?
Yeah, you certainly hope it is.
Okay.
Love or lust.
Yes.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean,
For a
lust-
lot of people.
Well, okay,
They don't know
but
the difference.
I'm talking about marriage as it should be.
Right.
So lust, if I am attracted to a woman and I do not act out on my carnal feelings until I enter into a covenant relationship with her, I'm controlling my lust. So there's nothing wrong with that. I would hope that most men who respect their future wives enough to withhold sex until after marriage, they do that because they love their wives. I mean, that's an act of love, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So lust is always going to be a factor, but unless you act out on it, it's not really anything to be ashamed of. You can't hold yourself in judgment because you are physically attracted to the woman you're about to marry and you want to have sex with her.
I'm just saying that I think that's how it starts out for a lot of people. I didn't truly know love until probably a few years into my marriage.
So you don't think you were in love with your husband before?
I think it was my idea of love, but it wasn't true love.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my own personal experience.
You know, 1/3 of marriages at the turn of the century were shotgun weddings.
Got married because they got pregnant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And they lasted, I guess, because shame, people wouldn't leave.
Right. I mean, this was again, people have no idea what I'm talking about for the most part, because this is just something, you never have to confront this. Why does society care about marriage? Why? What difference does it make? Why do I care whether or not you get married? What possible reason could societies rise or fall based on marriage? There has to be some reason. People have thought this is such an important institution for such a long period of time. Without marriage, there's no permanence. Without marriage, men are not tied to their children. Men save women from the world, and then women save men from themselves. There are so many things that go on in marriage, but most people, they don't think about this. What's marriage about? It's about love. Can two people love each other the same sex? Sure they can. Well, then they're going to get married. Bingo, bango, bongo, that's it. That's all there is. There's nothing more complicated about it than that.
You hear people who are married for 10, 15, 20 years, raise children, and they'll say, I just fell out of love with them. I fell out of love with her. I just...
we changed.
We changed.
Yeah.
You know what?
I just wasn't happy. It's
Yeah.
another one.
Well, first of all, if the man stops chasing his wife,
pursuing.
What a mistake.
Yeah.
If the wife stops figuring out how to keep that rich relationship with her husband, of course, marriage is like a bucking bronco, where the bronco holds you and you hold the bronco. And once one person decides, I'm not holding on to you anymore, they both separate. It's just the way it is. It's a constant effort to keep two people together.
Well, as a man who's been married, what have you been married, 45, 50 years?
Forever.
Yeah. So what would you say to a spouse who, let's say it's a woman, and the husband has stopped pursuing her? He's out all the time. He's never home. He doesn't kiss her on the cheek when he gets home. He doesn't put his arm around her. He just sits in front of the couch drinking a beer with the clicker watching football, and he has shut her out for all practical purposes.
Yeah.
What would you say to a woman like that? What
Most
should she
of the
do?
time, that is because she has not given him either an expectation of what she wants from him, or she doesn't give him a chance to win. In other words, every conversation we have, I don't understand why you don't. Why can't you just blah blah blah, right? So they bring up things from the past. The guy probably doesn't even know where the missiles are going to come from. You do that for more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
he's going to shut down.
Well, the fact is, men don't want to go into a battle where they can't win. All they're going to do is be shot up, and then they'll go back off the battlefield and go, wow, that was really useless. I guess, I'll have to think next time whether or not I'm going to do that. So if you set for your husband and say, look, I really want to have some time with you. And you say, these are the things that I want. This is how you win.
Yeah, that's good. Bonnie, what would you say to the wife or to the husband whose wife has let herself go, doesn't practice good hygiene, the physical relationship is done with her, she's just not interested in having sex, she's not interested in, she's nitpicky, why did you take out the trash? What would you say to the husband?
That's a tough one, because biblically that's not a reason to stray or divorce. But the other night, my husband and I were watching something, and the husband cheated on the wife, and I said, well, I can't blame him. And so,
whoa,
and my husband went, what? And I said, well, she wouldn't, she wasn't meeting his needs, and so he wasn't meeting her needs, and that's what happened. So I guess for me, it's a little bit of a double standard.
So you put it on the wife, and you put it on the wife, Glenn.
Well, it's up to the wife. The husband is by nature going to pursue her. The only reason that a husband wouldn't pursue his wife and continue to pursue her is if she has made it known, either I'm going to hurt you if you try and pursue me, or there's no way that you can catch me, so just stop it.
As someone who's been married for 12 total minutes, I have a completely different take, and we'll get to that right after this. 6:44.
Fagan and Firewood can deliver split. And get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool! Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage, and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
Hi, I'm Senator Anna Fairclough. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing good people attacked, and that's why I'm speaking to you about my friend Kathy Giesel. Senator Giesel deeply cares about her neighbors and what matters to them. She takes the time to listen to their issues and bring those concerns to Juneau. I'm disappointed that her opponent is willing to attack her and not stand on his own record. Kathy Giesel is someone I'm proud to work with, and with your support, she'll continue to fight for you.
Thanks, Anna. I'm Senator Kathy Giesel. I'm proud to serve with great Alaskans like Anna Fairclough, and I'm proud to be your voice in Juneau. I'll stand on my record and the work I've done in Juneau. From issues like healthcare, jobs, education, and a long-term fiscal plan to keep Alaska on the right track, I'm there for you. Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for State Senate, 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
It's just nothing funner for me than talking about stuff I have absolutely zero experience in.
And next up on the show, marriage advice from Dan.
It's just the funnest thing, because I honestly, I honestly just know nothing about women. I know nothing about marriage. I really know nothing about life in general. But I love to just take a shot at it.
A little honesty here this morning.
Yeah. No, I do pay attention. I read a lot. I listen to a lot of people that I respect who are very smart. And, obviously I've had relationships in the past, so I'm not a total, complete novice.
Mhm.
But my thing on marriage and relationships, and again, I was married a full 12 minutes. Actually, it was 14 minutes. And so I know what it was a good 14 minutes. The 14th minute was a little rough. The first 13 was just bliss, though.
Oh,
Do you think minutes to him mean like years?
No. I think that a man has so much power, and I understand women. If I understand the power of women, I have been seduced, and I have been, and not in a sexual way, but I just, women can control me. I get that. Women can control any man. And a beautiful woman who's sweet and kind and uses the right words, she can have tremendous power over you. I acknowledge that. But the opposite is true with men. If a man were to determine in his heart that he was going to pursue his wife, I don't care if she's mean, nasty, bitter, isn't the least bit grateful about anything. And we've all met women who are scorned and angry and bitter and just complain and put down their husbands and all that. I believe that 90% of those women can be overcome if a man truly pursues her. If he gets up in the morning and he holds her, he praises her, he compliments her, he's constantly doing things for her. He'll call her 2 or 3 times during the day. I'm thinking about you. I can't wait to get home tonight. You start pouring that on the meanest, nastiest, bitterest woman who doesn't have an ounce of gratitude in her heart, and she will transform before your eyes. Not every case, but 90% of the time. And, I've had friends who, my wife, she won't, sex, forget sex. And I tell them, I said, man, that's in your power. That's something you can control. And, I know there are exceptions to this rule, but I don't think men quite understand the power they have if they simply praise their wives, value their wives. Here's another one. Here's a big one. Prioritize their wives. Honey, the guys want me to go golf this weekend. But you know what? I'd just rather go for a walk in the park with you. It's absolutely killing him to do that. But he's going to do it anyway. These kind of things, I'm telling you, you will transform your wife. And I put it on the man first.
The man is the leader, and I just wish more women would let their husbands lead.
Well, leading is not dictating.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Leading is being, I'm speaking in the spiritual sense, because I do believe women respect that. They, if you're in a godly marriage though, but that's maybe the exception, not the rule. I don't know.
Well, I think, frankly, my opinion, one of the reasons God invented marriage is because you really can't do it without him.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't. You need his wisdom and guidance and patience and, long suffering and all the things that come.
Long suffering.
Hey, come on, let's call it as it is. There's long suffering and sacrifice in marriage.
Well, marriage is created by God.
I understand that, but my point is...
But yes, I don't believe that in a non-godly marriage there can truly be the equality between, the woman letting the husband lead and the husband letting the woman make a decision, or not letting her make decisions, but,
Honey, I decided to let you make a decision
No, but
today.
making the decisions together,
You'd like to decide.
saying I respect you and that kind of thing. I don't know. It's so complicated.
I don't think it is.
I think what you were saying is such a romanticized version. Well, it could be, but
I think it's generally true. I think that if you
I don't think I'm right. And he knows
I know
what he's
too many
about.
great men who are in marriages with women who just don't appreciate it.
I put it on the man.
Well,
now there are exceptions.
I do agree.
Yeah,
there are
you said there's
exceptions.
exceptions.
I wouldn't probably put it at 90%.
I just know a lot of them.
I'd put it at about 60%. Yeah, and the key, obviously, for both sides is humility.
I don't think you guys are getting what I'm saying here. When I say pursue a woman, I mean rip your heart up, rip your soul open, rip every part of you, expose every part of yourself to your wife. And so let's look at it for a minute. Let's say you start doing everything in your power to make her feel special, and she's still the meanest, nastiest son of a bitch you'll ever meet. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to curse.
Yeah, thanks.
Then the man has to go another step, because this is what covenant is. Honey, I'm doing everything I can. Why aren't you happy?
So communication.
What more can I do?
Right.
I love you so much. I'm giving you everything I have. It hurts me so bad you're not happy and you're not satisfied. That's a step most men would have a very difficult time doing, because the natural tendency in a man is, well, there's just no pleasing her.
Yes.
The hell with it. Give me the clicker. I'm going to grab a beer. So I'm talking about going to levels that most men would never dream of.
Well, they're human.
I understand
Well,
that.
no,
But I'm saying
there is an essence of disagreement here.
Let me finish my point. But the point is, if you take it to the extreme as a man, you will reach her. It's going to cost you. It's going to hurt you. It's going to be devastating. But you're in control.
Yeah, I see, and this is where I do disagree with you. The reason is that women are looking for strength.
Right.
And they see that as weakness.
No, not at all.
No,
There's
I
nothing
can have
stronger.
my opinion on this, by the way.
Okay.
If it's okay. And a lot of times, because when in my marriage, when we have a difficulty, we come to a mutual agreement. I will explain to her where I'm coming from. She will say, where she's coming from, and we will come to an agreement. What you say can't overcome if somebody is in the process of falling out of love with you. And they can fall out of love with you because you don't seem like a powerful person.
I'd like to make you haven't heard my point yet on this.
So, anyway, but that's
there's nothing
fundamental disagreement.
Because listen to what I'm going to say now, because you don't hit me at my point. There's nothing that comes close to requiring more strength from a man for him to make himself completely vulnerable to a woman. You talk about strength. We are so not built that way. And when a man completely opens himself, the intimacy, into me you see, when you completely open yourself to your wife, there is nothing that requires more strength. And there's not a woman in the world who will look at that as weakness. True vulnerability. True or not,
Bonnie? Will any woman see that as weakness?
Some women will see it as weakness. You said it yourself a few months ago. You were talking about with Brian about how women don't like the they don't like the nice guys.
I'm not talking about nice guys.
But you're talking about marriage.
I'm not talking about niceness. I'm talking about true vulnerability. True vulnerability is so pure and obvious. It is so self-evident. Mm-hmm. When a man makes himself truly vulnerable, not kiss ass, please be nicer to me, it hurts, please. I'm not talking about that. True vulnerability. in its purest form cannot be denied as anything but pure strength.
And sticking to it. I can see your
Sticking to
point.
it.
I can see your point with that. It reminds me of Fireproof, the movie with Kirk Cameron in it, where his wife and he were almost done. They were just almost finished. And he just decided, I'm going to pursue her, and I'm going to, I mean, of course this is fiction. You know, it didn't really happen, but I would hope that, you know, more people would see that. And just, you know, I think it's about sticking with it. The more things you go through and you stick it out through and you overcome, the stronger your marriage gets.
You know, I'm you know, like I said, I've been married 14 minutes, but in my own personal life, when I've been involved in relationships or even friendships, non-romantic relationships, I have never seen true, authentic vulnerability fail. When you honestly dig deep down in your heart, and you're going to be completely and totally honest with the person you're dealing with, and you're going to admit your faults, you're going to say whatever it is that you believe you did wrong, and you literally expose yourself to that person, friend, wife, girlfriend, whatever. I've never seen it fail. I've never seen a human not accept true vulnerability in any context.
Yeah, I when you differentiated it from being weak,
yes,
that's the key. I mean, you can't do it from weakness. You say, look, I'm going to be strong for both of us.
Yes.
Here's what I expect from you,
Yep.
and I may not get that initially,
Yep.
but I'm telling you, here's what I'm going to give you.
Yeah. Well, a perfect example, Glenn, would be like if she's just a constant harp on, negative.
Yeah.
If you were to say, okay, well, I'll try to get better. No. That's not true vulnerability. True vulnerability is, it is killing me that you are being so negative with me. What can we do? We've got to figure out something. It's not a, okay, I'll change this. Okay, I'll change that. Oh, if this is what you want. That's not what I'm talking about, because that's not being vulnerable. That's being a kiss ass.
Yeah.
That's being
and
desperate.
that'll give the person a chance to decide that they really want this relationship. Because that's what it takes. It takes both sides really wanting the relationship, and if they both do, then it'll last.
Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Hot Talk, KOAN, Anchorage, AM 1080, and retranslated on 95.1 FM on K236CG, Anchorage.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. There's only been one case of Ebola diagnosed in America, but it came here on a plane. So the U.S. is going to do more airport screening. Fox News Radio's Evan Brown has the update live.
Dave, the federal government will now have agents at U.S. airports and other entry points, which could mean seaports and over-the-land border crossings, observe travelers for signs of illness, which could indicate the traveler might be infected with Ebola. The CDC had indicated measures such as these could be announced this week. So far, all screening of airline travelers from Ebola-inflicted African nations had been done in Africa before passengers boarded planes, Dave.
There have been some gay couples in Las Vegas. Can't wait to get married.
We get to do what everyone else does. We get to put our love in concrete and live happily ever after.
But they'll have to wait, as the Supreme Court, which didn't get involved in 5 states Monday, blocks weddings today in 2 other states. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
Well, day after the Supreme Court opted not to hear appeals from 5 states where same-sex marriage laws were struck down, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said okay to same-sex marriage in 2 more states, Idaho and Nevada. But an order from Justice Anthony Kennedy says not so fast. He's blocking those states from issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples, at least for now, allowing time for both sides to offer written arguments. South Carolina officials are issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples, even as that state's ban technically remains in place. Dave.
Jared, several human rights groups in Syria urging the world to stop ISIS as the terrorist army gets closer to taking over a Syrian border town. Turkey's military is nearby, but staying out of the fight.
We certainly are in discussions with the Turks about what they can or will or may do.
Rear Admiral John Kirby at the Pentagon, where President Obama will meet with military leaders today. More selling today on Wall Street. The Dow's down 40. Oil prices are down to near $87 a barrel as gas keeps getting cheaper. Even though regular average is $3.27 a gallon, AAA says 10% of stations in the U.S. are selling it below $3 now. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Attention homeowners, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I have some important information for you regarding the U.S. government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. We've told you about HARP in the past, and more than 3 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this money-saving program. But there are so many more of you who could be saving hundreds of dollars every month on your mortgage. And Quicken Loans is here to help you save your money. The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HARP guidelines. If you weren't HARP eligible in the past, new guidelines could mean that now you are. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage review. It's simple and easy. And for 4 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN. Or go to QuickenLoans.com for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance costs. For cost information, equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLS.
Worthington Ford, giant Worthington Ford. And folks, we're having a huge sale. Right now, you can get friends and neighbors pricing automatically on any and all new 2014s in stock. That's the official pricing set by Ford. And you can use your PFD today. Here's a Chevy Cobalt, just $59.50. Here's a Chevy Suburban, just $10.9. Here's a Ford Explorer, just $11.9. Here's a Ford Expedition, just $12.9. This is your chance to automatically qualify for Ford's Friends and Neighbors pricing, so don't miss it. And folks, we need your trade-in, so push, pull, or jug it in and you'll get top dollar. It's giant Worthington Ford on Gamble.
ID number 818736 and 06 Chevy Cobalt, number 215898 and 04 Chevy Suburban, number A62358 and 08 Ford Expedition, number B74202 and 07 Ford Explorer.
Friends and Neighbors pricing excludes Raptor MKC and fleet deals. On approved credit, subject to prior sales, see dealer for details.
Ends October 9th.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
Alaskans have waited decades for a natural gas pipeline. But now, we've made historic progress on Alaska's gas line, thanks to the leadership of Governor Sean Parnell. Engineers are designing the line right now. We have the gas, we have the route, and we have the offtakes to supply energy for Alaska communities. But Bill Walker doesn't like it. He called the Alaska LNG project fatally flawed and wants to study the plan or renegotiate it, which will add years of delays and could kill the gas line altogether. Look at Walker's track record. For years, he's pushed a pipeline plan that had no permits, no gas, no sellers, and no buyers. The Alaska LNG project is underway. Let's stick with the plan that's working and the governor who's making it happen, Sean Parnell. Paid for by Parnell Sullivan 2014. Box 100719 Anchorage.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. In the Give him a call, 569-1080.
Well, I'm heading over to Shoe Guys Chiropractic, and they've ordered for me my what do you call the foot thing?
Custom orthotic.
Orthopedic
because
inserts.
when I went over there to see Dr. Swigert and his team, they discovered that my right leg is just a tiny bit shorter than my left leg. And once they told me that, I'm standing there barefoot, and I'm thinking, gosh, dog, this leg is shorter, and it makes a big difference. And so that they got a little orthopedic kind of deal they're going to put on my shoe, and I'm excited about it. And this is just one of many examples of how the folks at Chugach Chiropractic will help you live a more healthy, balanced life, pain-free life. They employ natural solutions, and a lot of people in the medical community, they want to go put you under the knife right away, but there's so many other ways to go in today's world with technology. And the folks at Chugach Chiropractic, Dr. Swigert, this guy's brilliant, and we're going to have him on the show next week too. But you go see him. Go see him over at Chugach Chiropractic. Tell them Dan and Glenn sent you. They'll treat you right. 694-9224. 694-9224. They have the best massage therapists in the state. They're absolutely fantastic. 694-9224. Chugach Chiropractic. 569-1080. 569-1080. So you wanted to talk about Nome?
Yeah, good news out of Nome today. And I love it when people reject bigger government. They reject controls over their lives. They reject the snake oil salesman. Oh, if we just tax this one little vice, if we just tax this other little vice, then we can have bigger government, and all of a sudden we'll live in a perfected society. So Nome comes out today and rejects a sales tax hike for alcohol and tobacco. Oh, those horrible sinners smoking and drinking. So anyway, I take a positive view of people rejecting these kinds of taxes, because what they're saying in essence is, well, so we're going to tax ourselves a few $1 million extra. We'll give that to government, and then does that really do any good?
What do you make of the
no.
villages that vote themselves in a ban on alcohol?
Well, they realize that in the absence of a lot of work to do, that for men particularly, alcoholism is just, it consumes them, and it becomes what they do for a living, and then they start making excuses for why their life didn't turn out, and it's a downward spiral. In essence, it's a self-preservation.
Alcohol?
Humanity, banning alcohol.
Oh, okay.
In essence, humanity has this built-in, and so do all animals, built-in idea that, look, we need to preserve ourselves. It's very important that we do that, whatever it takes.
We're animals?
In order to do that, yeah.
We're not humans?
Human beings are animals.
I don't think we're animals.
We all have instincts.
They're Homo sapiens.
There you go. So anyway, but I think that banning alcohol, in essence, is because there's so much abuse that goes on out there at the hands of the alcoholic, that they try to do whatever they can to limit that and prevent that. And it comes from, in my mind, largely an absence of work.
Does it help?
Yeah, sure. I don't think they'd do it if it didn't help.
569-1080. I was talking to Elise Puckatalk, who used to write for the Daily News. I haven't seen her lately, I guess.
Yeah, she's out of Nome, isn't she? Or was
no, I think she lives here in Anchorage, but she lived in Nome for a number of years, and she worked at a domestic violence abuse center up there. She's written a lot about domestic violence, and she's a pretty far-left gal, but on this subject, I think she has a real heart for the issue. And we had her on the show once, and she was telling us that in Nome, they went completely dry, and they had to reverse it after 3 months because they could not house the women who were getting the crap beat out of them in that 3-month period. It went up 40-50% once there was no alcohol.
Huh. Does she have an explanation for that?
Well, yeah. The guys were angry. They couldn't drink.
Huh. So the drinking sort of kept them
it's
at a
funny
lull.
Because a lot of people say, well, alcohol leads to domestic violence, and most police who ride the beat will tell you that.
Sure.
Anytime they show up at the domestic violence house, the husband's drunk, and he's,
And the wife is usually drunk,
and the wife,
too.
well, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it got so bad in Nome. Within 3 months, I had to reverse it.
I wonder what would have happened in another 6 months.
I don't know. You thinking that it might have played out where that they would have gotten used to not having such alcohol. There's still alcohol there in these communities that are dry because you can smuggle it in. But it wasn't available as easily.
I'm guessing that most of the people who were drinking probably will continue to drink. I don't know though, but I don't know. I would have been interested to know how it turned out over a little bit longer period of time.
And I shouldn't say 40%, but she said it was unbelievable. I mean, like the day after, they just all of a sudden they started getting all these women coming into the domestic violence shelter.
The day after? How could they have run out of alcohol that fast?
I don't know. I mean, that's as I remember the story. But we should have her on again and explain.
Yeah, well, I would like to know. I'd like to know a little bit more of the details.
But there was a direct, undeniable correlation between the complete ban of alcohol and domestic violence going up at the shelter she worked at.
Yeah,
that was without.
Once you have a broken society, I don't know that taking alcohol away, adding marijuana, whatever. I don't know that anything really solves your problem. And largely people up on the North Slope. There are quite a few jobs there, but it's huge government subsidy. I think it's like $100,000 per family.
Oh yeah,
$25,000 per person.
North Slope, Laurel, that's what they pay.
Right.
That's what they get in revenue per citizen.
Right.
In taxes.
So anyway, I don't know. Maybe there's no solutions at some point.
The pro-marijuana people are saying that the Bush people need marijuana so they can
stop drinking.
They can hang out
because it's better than drinking.
Well, can you argue that?
I don't know. I don't know if the long-term effects on the brain.
The Native community is not wanting it for the most part.
No, let's talk. Brian's the most open-minded of all four of us. Brian, what would you rather have if you're married to some dude who's violent? Would you rather have him drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels or hitting the reefer?
If I was married to a dude that was violent?
You can do that now. The Supreme Court said you can marry dudes.
Boy, I don't know. Yeah, I would think I would think the alcohol would be worse. I mean, besides, whenever there's a shooting, they want to ban guns. So
yes, exactly.
Maybe they should ban men because they're the number one source of women being abused.
Amen. That's it.
Wow, that was a really good perspective, actually.
So, but honestly, we try to deal with each issue on its surface, and
But you're talking about substituting one for the other.
Yeah,
as far as I understand, it's not a substitute. Are they going to ban alcohol then and just allow marijuana?
Right.
I might be for that.
Well,
I guess I could look at that. I probably would be for that.
What's that, Brian?
They should so if they don't pass the marijuana, they should also ban alcohol at the same time.
Well, I wonder because there are a lot of villages where you cannot purchase alcohol. So what? I guess the marijuana will be legal because there's not if it's passed this initiative.
Well, and individual communities can vote whether or not they want it.
They can vote to ban it again.
Right.
I think they're more like cigarettes and cigars.
You know what I think the three of us should do?
Uh-oh.
And Brian, you should do this too.
I am not smoking a doobie.
Just so we can speak more intelligently about this initiative, I think we should take the next 30 days and smoke pot every morning before we get onto the show and see how it affects our cognitive skills and our ability to reason and communicate.
Man,
you guys up for that?
That would be a test.
Yeah. Brian, I'm sure you know a dealer, right? You can hook us up.
Yeah, I could check around the hallways here at the station.
714, Fagan Biegel Mining.
Five, 1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
Is your IT department burdened with first-line support calls about printer jams and broken printers? Are individual departments purchasing expensive printer cartridges that get buried in office supply budgets? Is your printer support strategy really a printer replacement plan? Let Alaska Enterprise Solutions show you how to reduce those high print costs. AES is a Xerox professional agency in Alaska with Xerox's worldwide support behind them. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
I think we're going to go full circle on technology. I really do. Because you're going to send me a page, and it's going to say, call me, and I'm going to pick up the phone, and we're going to talk, as opposed to talking through these bricks that I hate talking on, because I always fat-cheek the mute button, and then I'm like going, so anyway, I think what we really need to do is we need to reconfigure the homepage so that it incorporates the following social media. Hello? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
The Jerry Doyle Show.
Saturdays starting at 7 p.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN. Hot Talk, KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
All right, 17 minutes past 7 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Awfully glad you're here today. Broadcasting to you on KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080. We'd love to hear from you. 569-1080. Any topic, any subject you want to bring up, we'd be happy to address it with you and for you.
Begich continues to get nailed for this Jerry Andrew active, horrific travesty of an ad. The KTUU reporting, LA Times ad tying Jerry Active to Dan Sullivan is the worst by a Democrat, and I would imagine that would mean that it's the worst ever. The worst ad ever.
It was a major blunder, and it showed us who he is.
Yeah.
Showed us who he is. 569-1080, desperate times, call for desperate measures. Joe, you're on.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Hello, Bonnie and Glenn.
Hello.
Yodel.
Yeah, on behalf of the Marijuana Initiative, I was going to say that, well, first of all, on some of my big snow machine trips, if some of the guys don't have any pot, they won't even go. And then there's a trend that I see happening with some of my friends and other people's friends that are friends of mine that have struggled to quit drinking. And some of them have been successful quitting drinking by smoking a little pot now and then. Then there's another thing. Pot, marijuana is a drug. So is alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. If you are a liquor license owner, you are a drug dealer. And you're a pusher.
Well, I mean, if you're a pharmaceutical, if you're a pharmacy, you sell drugs.
Right, but, marijuana is considered a drug that if somebody sells it, they are a drug dealer.
Do you smoke the reefer, Joe?
I have in the past. Yeah.
How long ago?
I'm not going to, I can't remember.
You can't remember, so it's been a long time.
But let me get back to it. The alcohol is a drug, and if you sell alcohol, if you have a liquor license, you are a drug dealer.
Technically speaking, that's true. So what's your point?
Yeah. So
would you rather, I'm interested in your perspective on whether or not places should ban alcohol and then if we legalize marijuana.
Well, I think that would be a good idea. Judge Wickersham gave 50 lashes to somebody that sold alcohol to a native back in the old days. So at one time it was very... people could see the damage it's done to our people, and with natives...
Are you native, Joe?
No.
Okay.
I'm a native Alaskan, though.
Gotcha. I'm curious about... because I don't really hang out or know that many people that smoke pot, so I'm very curious about the culture. So you have friends that smoke pot?
Yeah, and you can't even tell that they've smoked it after they smoked it.
What percentage of your friends hit the reefer?
I don't have that many friends, but I would say probably, I couldn't give you...
What percentage? Do most of your friends smoke the reefer?
I don't know. You can't tell when they've smoked it.
But don't they tell you? I mean, don't you know? If Glenn smoked a reefer, I'd know.
I would see somebody sitting on the snow machine at break.
Yeah.
And smoking a reefer.
Why wouldn't they want to go snow machining without pot? I don't understand that. It's fun. It's fun to go snow machining.
Yeah, what's the tie there?
Yeah.
That does sound like pot is limiting their enjoyment of life.
It is. It does open up some new. You know, it's just kind of it's just fun and it relaxes you.
So you don't smoke the reefer anymore? Am I correct on that?
Dan, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies.
Okay, so you do smoke the Look, I'm not condemning you, Joe. I'm not sitting here. I'm just trying to understand.
I don't want to lose business people.
I got you.
Them recognize my voice on the phone.
Well, what drug is marijuana like?
It just kind of relaxes you.
So you pretty much smoke every day, right? Because most people smoke pot.
Oh no.
No, at least several times a week.
No. Quit fishing, Dan.
Well, most people I know smoke it every day, if not every day. Who smoke?
Hey, Bonnie and Glenn, Dan picked up somebody hitchhiking one time, and they lit up a joint right inside of his car. Remember that, Dan?
No, that's not exactly what happened. I was going to the Whale Fat Follies. I was in town 2 weeks. A news photographer at Channel 2 said, hey, go to the Whale Fat Follies with me. It's a funny show. You'll like it. So he picks me up at my house, and he starts smoking this funny-looking cigarette that I had not recognized as a normal cigarette. And I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm hitting a joint before we go. You want a toke? And I said, are you out of your mind? I said, I need you to let me out of this car right now. And I said, I'm not going to sit in a car with you and smoke weed. And I said, I didn't. He said, well, come on, dude, lighten up. I said, no, either take me back home or let me off here. And so he took me back home, and I got my own car. I'm not going to ride. Right? And I didn't know the pot rolls, and it turns out it was illegal. You could smoke it in your home, but you can't smoke it in your car.
Well, obviously you can't smoke it in your car.
Why have it legal to smoke if you can't buy it?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Legally.
So where do you get your pot, Joe?
Where do I get it?
Yeah.
I can't. I wouldn't.
Through
I couldn't, or I can't, or I couldn't, or I wouldn't say.
Right. But like through a friend, or is your drug dealer a friend, or is your drug dealer an acquaintance? I guess is the question.
I'll tell you this, Dan. On my street, probably at least half the people smoke it, and I know all the people because I've lived here all the time.
And
I'm not going to tell you the street.
Sure. But do they all smoke their pot and get their pot without fear of being arrested? Do the police just not really even worry about this activity?
Well, when they buy it, they'll say things. Well, you got some cabbage. They will never address it as pot, marijuana.
Right, but have you ever known anybody on your street to get arrested for smoking pot?
No.
About selling, or what about selling or buying pot?
No.
So it's really not a big deal to smoke pot in Alaska. You're not going to go to jail.
But if you try to sell a big portion of it, you can really get in a lot of trouble.
What's the amount that you think would be safe where the police wouldn't mess with you?
Whatever the law says it is. Well,
Was
no.
it 4 ounces in your home?
You can't sell it. It's illegal.
Right. But you're saying if it's a lot, police will arrest you.
I would say that would be common for any of us.
Is it true, Joe?
No, that if you sold a lot of big quantity, you'd get in even worse trouble than selling a little bit.
Is the munchie thing true? Do you eat a lot when you smoke pot?
Well, when I've smoked it in the past, if I was doing something like working, I could really get into work and not get hungry. But if you're just laying around lazy and stuff, well, yeah, you kind of might want to go to the refrigerator and see what's in it. I'm a skinny guy, I'm not really a big eater anyway. But I think it treats people differently. I don't think it harms people. I've never heard of people getting in trouble with machinery or erratic driving. Have you ever smoked it, Dan?
Actually, I did once, but I thought it was crack. So it doesn't really count.
How long ago?
This was about 1999, 98, somewhere in that area.
Hey,
I was in Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, well, You're qualified. It's about time you met.
Oh, I
go
don't.
on a snow machine trip with us.
No. I would never smoke it now.
You too, Glenn.
Well,
are you
What
worried
about me?
any-
Where do I come
You're
in
not.
here?
You're out, Bonnie.
I'm just
This
chopped
is-
liver
this is the
here?
guy
We don't
thing.
bring girls.
The guy thing. All right. Hey, are you worried about any of the statistics? They just had a study come out here recently.
20-year study.
20-year study. Any of the statistics bother you? You think they're bogus?
What statistics?
Maybe he hasn't
The
heard of
findings of the 20-year study was that marijuana used over a prolonged period of time has considerable consequential impacts on your ability to reason and to understand things.
I've never heard of such a study, and
Yeah, it came out last
the people that I know that smoke it are very successful people, lawyers, doctors. You bet. Mm-hmm.
But they seem a little off, don't they?
No, they.
Just a little slow.
Some people, maybe it's not for everybody, but the thing is what they're trying to do with this proposition is make it so that the few people that do smoke it can buy it legally.
Are you going to vote yes?
Yeah. So is Eddie.
Eddie who?
Oh, well,
Eddie
then
Burke?
we definitely should
Hot
do it.
talk.
Does Eddie Burke hit the reefer?
I don't know him that well.
I'm really disappointed in Eddie lately. He's
a very good talk show host, but he talks about the proposition on the radio once in a while. Mm-hmm. But the thing is the alcohol's the bugger. Got to get rid of that. I quit drinking 19 years ago.
You don't think it should be outlawed?
Well, if they're going to outlaw pot, they better well think about outlawing alcohol, Dan, because it's by far the worst drug 1,000 times over.
I can't argue that. But it's because it's used more commonly.
Well, yeah, it's a cultural divide, I think. You get people that never smoked it, they're going to vote no on it because they just think you're a hippie. They think that you're one of those 1960s people, and you're no good. And
Are you a hippie? Do you want to come out on this program?
Bald-headed hippie.
You're a leftist, right, Joe?
No, I'm an independent.
Come on now. Why won't
You
you,
know
guys
what?
ever
I'm
admit
thinking
to
of-
being leftist?
Here's one for you. I'm thinking about voting for Dan Sullivan for Senate just because this onrush
You're just
illegal
thinking
aliens.
about it? I mean, honestly, don't you think the's a pretty big difference between Mark
Yeah, but he's a
Begich,
leftist.
Barack
Well,
Obama?
see, I don't want the Canadians to come in and build that Pebble mine, and then I don't want illegal aliens coming over our border. And we've changed the subject drastically here, but I'm not a leftist. I'm.
Have you ever met anybody who said I'm a leftist?
I'm a per-issue person.
Right. Thank you, Joe.
I'm the one. Hey, us independents, by the way,
Yeah.
we're the ones that decide these elections.
Hey, one quick question. You promise you answer it?
If I can.
Did you hit the reefer this morning?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate
Thank
the call.
you.
Thanks, Joe.
729, Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Stay with us.
They're searching for direction following yesterday's sell-off as investors wait for the release of minutes from the Federal Reserve's last meeting. Investors will be looking for clues on how soon the central bank plans to raise interest rates. The Fed is set to end its massive bond buying purchases this month. Yum Brands is one of the stocks we're watching today. The parent of Taco Bell and KFC has cut its profit outlook for the year after the latest food scare hurt sales in China. Yum says it now expects earnings per share to rise between 6 and 10% from a year ago. The company is trying to recover from allegations that one of its suppliers was using expired meat. And Monsanto is out with mixed fourth quarter results. The seed company posting an adjusted loss of 27 cents a share. That was 3 cents worse than expected, but revenue rose to $2.6 billion, which beat the estimate. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lauren Simonetti.
You will not have enough money to retire.
It's true. If you're like most Americans, you'll have to work in your 80s to live comfortably. I'm Jesse with Future Advisor. Our chartered financial analysts and math PhDs created software that will look at your portfolio, tell you what the future holds, and show you how to fix it for free. If we can't shave a year off your retirement, we'll send you $100. Take charge of your future. Free in just 2 minutes. Call now. 1-800-618-4000. That's 1-800-618-4000.
With KOAN News, I'm Ann Kenda. Gay rights activists are expressing confidence that it won't be long before same-sex marriage is legal in Alaska. On Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court effectively made gay marriage legal in 30 states when it declined to hear an appeal on the subject. The next day, an appeals court struck down gay marriage bans in Nevada and Ohio. For now, Alaska's ban is still in place, but many legal analysts say it's not likely to withstand the challenge. Juneau is considering raising tax on tobacco products to bring in millions to city coffers. Supporters say it also coincides with a drop in smoking, especially among young people who don't have the cash to support the habit. A scheduling hearing is planned for tomorrow in Anchorage's lawsuit against Uber Technologies, which runs an app that allows people to order up a ride in a privately driven car. The lawsuit alleges that the app is a violation of transit laws. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Sunshine and clouds, chilly for this afternoon, high 36. For tonight, mostly clear and cold with a brief flurry, low 20. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow, high 39. Cloudy skies tomorrow night, low 32. Friday, rain, high 45. Saturday, high 48. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Alaska's Energy, America's Values, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EnergyandValues.com. Mark Begich is unbelievable.
Washington thinks it knows what's best for Alaska, and that's what I'm fighting against every day.
Fighting? Begich voted for all Obama's appointments, like Sally Jewell as Secretary of the Interior. Jewell immediately said no to exploration in Anwar and no to a King Cove road. Begich didn't fight Washington. He rolled over, like he rolled over for Obamacare. Now Begich is trying to duck and hide on Obamacare, on oil taxes, on cap and trade, on the IRS scandal, even on Anwar. How can you deliver Anwar, Mark, when Harry Reid says a Democrat-controlled Senate will never allow an Anwar vote? Alaskans can't trust a thing Begich says. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. From our handyman services to our award-winning kitchen design and remodel, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions Direct at 646-1403.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
$7:34. Welcome back to the Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie show. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. Happy to welcome here in the studio our friend Rachel Petro with the Chamber of Commerce, Alaska Chamber of Commerce. Also, she brought in a friend, Joe McGuire, with the organization Of Substance Media. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for having us, Dan. And Glenn. And Bonnie. Good morning.
We'll let you tell us about your friend Joe and the guest you brought in and why she's here in town. She's from Colorado.
Yeah. So some people understand that this ballot measure 2, which is purportedly to regulate marijuana, the Alaska Chamber took a position opposing it. And really, the bottom line for us as a Chamber of Commerce is two things. One of which is we're very concerned about workforce safety. We're also concerned about workforce development, readiness, employer liability, things like that. As far as commerce, the black market in Colorado has just gone haywire.
Since the legalization.
Yeah, so people are asking, why are we talking about Colorado's law rather than Washington's law? And so the Alaska Chamber and the Alaska Support Industry Alliance, we decided to bring up somebody from Colorado just to share with us their experience in Colorado, because two things. Colorado's law, as it was proposed, I think it was Amendment 64,
Yes.
Joe, is very, very similar to what we see on our ballot. And Washington's is very, very different. So we have like 8 pages. Washington had several years of development, 60 pages, very detailed. So they're very different. Also, the other similarity here is that the same group that funded the Colorado project, the Marijuana Policy Project, also is funding the Alaska project. So,
interesting.
So there's a lot of comparisons. So we wanted someone from Colorado with on-the-ground experience to come up here. So she's going to speak in Wasilla today, in Anchorage tomorrow, and in Fairbanks on Friday.
Where are you speaking in Wasilla?
We're at the Matsu Business Alliance.
Okay, and that's at noon?
It is at noon.
Today?
It's at Evangelos, and if you go to their website, I'm sure you can register.
That's a fun luncheon.
And you can register at the AlaskaChamber.com as well.
And then tomorrow is at where?
At the Denina.
It's a luncheon there.
It's a luncheon.
Put
doors
on by the chamber.
Put on the chamber and the alliance.
Okay.
And we're taking registrations today, so it's just the cost of lunch.
Good.
But you get to hear kind of the on the ground truth of what's going on in Colorado, and so what can we expect here in Alaska?
So Joe.
Yes.
Tell us, what has been the impact of this legislation in Colorado that is very similar to the ballot initiative that's being proposed here in Alaska?
You know, it's been so interesting to watch this unfold because the voters really heard control, get tax money, and handle business. And so it sounds good in theory, regulate. But what it turns out to be is just commercialization of recreational drug use. Every time we work very hard, and I was on the governor's regulatory board to help regulate this, so I got to have an inside view of some very specific attempts at regulation. And one of the things that was disappointing to me and frustrating was whenever we try to put the regulations in place, as your board is tasked to do in your amendment, there was constant pushback by the lobbyists for the marijuana policy control project and all of those types of things. So in essence, as we've tried to regulate, we keep getting continual pushback. And so things sprang forward that were not articulated in our law, like the concentrates and all of those things.
What is a concentrate?
The concentrates really, they take, there's ways to purify hash oil and to take marijuana and create these very extremely high THC level products.
Like, for example?
So you may have a hash oil chamber in a vaporizer or the edibles. So you have an edible product that has these, like 26 servings in a small chocolate bar that's a third the size of a dollar bill. So if you think about maybe like a little Ghirardelli chocolate square, 26 servings.
How many? What would that be the equivalency of? How many joints would that be? I guess.
Well, it's hard to compare that. For instance,
it's going to mess you up.
Yeah, it's going to mess you up. So let's say this. The way that I can compare it is an ounce of weed, of dry leaf, is 65 joints. But an ounce of hash oil could be 800 to 1,000 servings.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So now I'm confused we're talking to Joe McGuire, who's with the organization of Substance Media. She's from Colorado and giving us the lowdown on what the legislation that passed there has done to her state. The legislation is very similar to the ballot initiative that we're going to be voting on here in Alaska. This black market thing, why would there be an increase in black market if it's all legal now?
That is a very good question, and part of the issue is people who claimed we want to be legitimized, we're eager to pay these taxes, we want to pay these taxes. They will go pay the tax maybe once or twice, but then we also allow home grow, which I understand Alaska has the ability to grow.
The same provision that was in the Colorado amendment is in our ballot measure too. Right. So make no mistake. So this is very comparable.
So you can grow it.
Right.
Personal cultivation, absolutely allowed.
Can it be done in a field?
And you can do it for friends and neighbors.
And can you do it in your open field, like you grow?
It depends on where you live and what you're zoned for, but you're supposed to keep it enclosed. However, people are growing it in their backyard. We had an instance where a young man
and his friends saw the marijuana growing in someone's backyard. There was barbed wire over the fence. They wanted to see if they could get to it. And they were outside of the grower's yard, and he shot them with pellet guns.
Wow.
This 13-year-old boy took a pellet to the heart
Oh,
and ended up having to be airlifted. So it's all, you know,
So
that's
the
how it
black
goes.
market, though. Why
the black market? Because we have a few things which you also have. There's a provision, a loophole where you can give away your product. You can share with a friend as long as it says no remuneration. So you can't ask your friend to pay you for the weed you're growing in your home, but you can share it. So why would you go and pay extremely high taxes at a retail store when you can grow it in your home and
So the
share it
money's
with
under
your
the
friend?
table.
Absolutely, totally under the table. Plus, you have things that are going on like smoke shops or lounges, and there's different ways you can have people bring their own into the lounge, and so it's kind of like this meeting place.
And the cover charge doesn't get taxed, or gets taxed at a cover
Right,
charge rate rather
right.
than the
So
pot
that's
rate.
a way to get around the taxes. You charge this extremely high cover rate, but you don't pay for product.
Is there any substantial, clear evidence that marijuana use has gone up since this initiative?
We are
in
actually
Colorado?
we're seeing more of it from a tourist point of view. Where it has increased is with the young people, which the amendment says we'll keep it out of the hands of kids. But the kids' use is growing. But
How do you know the kids' use is growing?
what we're seeing is school surveys. So healthy kids surveys through the schools. Also, I mean, you know, if you talk to school resource officers and people who are working in the schools, they're saying we've never seen anything like this.
I was in Northern California in the Redding, Chico, Northern Sacramento area, and you know they fell for the medical marijuana grow thing, and now there's just fields and fields of it, and it just totally changed the landscape of the whole area. Transients, crime, homeless camps. People there tell me that I would not have recognized that region 5 years ago. And one of the things that has caused the transformation in Northern California is that the amount of pot they're growing now is so increased because they're shipping it to Colorado.
Right.
And that's illegal, but they're still doing it.
They're still doing it because
Yeah.
it's very hard to capture it through the mail. So our diversion going out of the state is incredible. There's a report from a Rocky Mountain high-intensity drug trafficking area. You can look it up, and they list all of the diversion going to other states, and it's incredible how often Colorado pot is listed in law enforcement incidents. But I do want to go back to what you mentioned about changing the landscape. In Denver right now, there are more pot stores than McDonald's and Starbucks combined.
I don't know what else you need to know. I honestly don't know what else people need to hear.
Well, I want to talk about though public consumption.
Well, let me take. I got to take a break, and
All
we'll
right.
continue with this. We're talking to Joe McGuire of Substance Media, a group based out of Colorado. She's from Colorado, giving us a lowdown on the pot law down there. Rachel Petro with the Alaska Chamber is here with us. Glen Biegel's got questions for you. Bonnie's got questions for you. We're glad you're here. Very informative. More pot shops than McDonald's and Starbucks. I think that pretty much shuts down the conversation. 7:44, Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
Unless you own a 2014 Mercedes-Benz CLA. With its muscular, seductive look and distinctive diamond block grille, that parking space is transformed into a stage that showcases to others what groundbreaking style can be. And as you pull away, thanks to the turbocharged inline-4 engine, parking space 105A transforms again, this time into a launching pad. See the world differently. See it in a CLA from Mercedes-Benz, whose vehicles retain their value better than any other premium brand, according to ALG. Get the 2014 CLA 250 4MATIC starting at just $31,900.
MSRP for a 2014 CLA 254 Matic excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, final availability, and actual dealer price may vary. Some equipment described as optional. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080.
Keith Montanok is the mechanic that you can trust here in Anchorage and South Anchorage. Those of you who live on the lower hillside, upper hillside, he's got a great auto repair shop with the best mechanics in town, 6 ASE certified mechanics. They're so good. Keith's worked on my vehicles for years, and he's a trustworthy fellow. You know, you want to trust your mechanic, and you want a mechanic who's good, and that's Keith. Boy, his team, they're the best, just absolute best. Specialty Truck and Auto is the name of the mechanic shop. He's right across the street from the Long Branch Saloon off of Abbott, where you'll find Bonnie most Friday and Saturday nights. His number, 349-1637. 349-1637. Tell Keith I sent you, and he will hook you up, I promise you. 7:48 is the time. Our number, 569-1080. 569-1080. We're speaking with Joe McGuire, who is from Colorado. She's with the organization of Substance Media, and giving us the lowdown on the law that passed there that we're all familiar with up here that's very similar to the initiative that we're going to be voting on November 4th. Also, Rachel Petro is here with the Alaska Chamber of Commerce.
Well, you're probably getting familiar with Alaska, and we sort of have a kind of a Mexican standoff here with marijuana. You know, it's not exactly legal, it's not exactly illegal. As many people as really want to use it do use it, and so, you know, it's sort of part of the landscape. And so we're thinking about changing from that, where there's fairly widespread use that's somewhat legal, to let's commercialize this bad boy and shove it out as fast as we possibly can. As you said, very surprising statistic. You know, we're looking at more McDonald's and Starbucks combined pot shops. So it probably will be fairly dramatic, the change here. The way that I make my decision based on this, and these are the kind of the questions I have, do more people use it after it becomes legal?
In my estimation, from what we can tell, the new audience isn't, you know, when you bring in commercialization, your typical business person and whatnot, you know, are not just going to all of a sudden jump to pot use. What we're seeing is people who are regular users are using more. They're consuming more and more potency. But the new market is really the teens and young adults. That's the new market. So
any chance that people, if they use when they're young, that fewer of them will end up using when they're older? Or is it more likely that as they use it when they're young, more will use it when they're older?
Right, that's correct. So typically the younger you start.
So we're looking at a new generation of more concentrated
Exactly,
right.
exactly.
So, and that was my second question. What's your theory on why more young people are using it?
Because when we pass laws like this, what we say to them is it's safe. And so it's a social messaging for kids. When I talk to kids at schools, and I ask them, what did Amendment 64 say to you? And their response in unison is, it's safe. So that means, you know, it's okay for me, it's healthy for me. So that's the message.
Not only that, but it's an adult thing to do, and we like to do adult things when we're kids. So it's sort of encouraged.
So it's the same with alcohol. We say we'll keep it out of their hands, but we were not successful with that with alcohol or tobacco. And so, you know, I know that we have extremely high youth alcohol rates in Colorado, and one of the deep concerns is co-use of these two products because they don't go well together.
Is the amount of alcohol use declining, or is it too early to say with the increase? Because this is one of the things that a lot of people who are suggesting that we commercialize marijuana here in the state, is that they say, well, we really need to transition people off of alcohol onto marijuana.
That's such a good question, because the point is it does not decrease alcohol. We've actually seen alcohol continue to thrive as a business and have an increase in numbers because socially people combine the two. When they get together, they typically will use alcohol combined with marijuana, which is a very dangerous mix.
It is dangerous. Tell me about what that
I'll tell you
does.
why, because the same thing in marijuana that gives you the munchies tells you that you haven't had enough alcohol. And so people will consume more alcohol than they typically would when they're using the substances together. And then it shuts off your body's ability to reject an overconsumption of alcohol. So you would not have the physiological signs that you've had too much.
The last question that I had, and I know there was a big study that came out here recently, but the one that most people are worried about is driving. They don't really care what people are going to do in their own homes. It's sad if other people's children are in greater concentrations going to use drugs, but maybe they're not going to vote that way because they don't have any kids. But when we talk about the roads, then we're talking about something that we do all care about.
We do care about roads, and it's such a great point to make because we have seen an increase in marijuana-related fatalities. Now, while our Colorado State Patrol has really increased their vigilance on the roads, and we've seen, you'll hear the statistic put out there, Colorado's traffic fatalities have dropped. That's a deceptive statistic because while the fatalities have dropped overall, the marijuana-related fatalities have tripled. So we have to continue to tell the truth. This is back since we've been keeping numbers since medical marijuana. Remember, we've only had retail for 9 months. So we have a long way to go to find out what the real impact is.
Are they trying to rush this through up here before we sort of figure out what this does?
Absolutely. One of the things that I have found to be dismaying is we had less than 90 days to ramp up and get completely ready with the regulatory framework.
Will we have 90 days, or is it longer or shorter?
Yours is a little longer. You were given a few more months than us, but by the time you start the process and get the people in place, it's barely longer. You just have really just several months to get this all into effect, and then in Alaska, I believe you're stuck with what you have for 2 years before you can make changes.
Big difference. So as you guys know, under our ballot measure and our initiative process, the legislature can't go in and tweak a law significantly for 2 years. So we have 9 months, according to the ballot measure, to get this going. We have 2 years before any significant changes can be made by the legislature. So yeah, it's an issue. And here we are. We're talking to Colorado. They've got 9 months of experience, and things aren't going swimmingly. I mean, there's going to be a revenue issue as well. I mean, it's like if fatalities from marijuana use have tripled, I mean, there's a cost to that, right? There's a public safety cost. So can you talk a little bit about the revenue?
We're talking with Joe McGuire, who is with the group of Substance Media. She's from the state of California, telling us about how the legalization of pot has affected that state. Also, Rachel Petros here, president of the Alaska State Chamber. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, in Colorado, the voters really made this decision based on the promise for a huge amount of tax money. And a lot of them said, I don't use it, wouldn't really bother me, but we have to tax it. So initially, the state economist, and working with the marijuana lobby, determined that we would bring in at least $130 million in the first year. And so we figured out from there.
That's a lot of pot.
A lot of pot, $130 million, that's just in taxes. However, that was supposed to be this year, a big banner year, when people pay the registration fees to get their businesses going. So you have more money generated, actually. Well, to date, we've only brought in like $20 million.
Oh.
And so here we are, September's ended.
Is this the black market you were talking about?
No, this is what has been turned in, the cash taxes to the state.
I think the black market could affect that, absolutely.
Is this kind of, you turn in what you want to turn in, or because these are pretty shitty businesses, I would imagine?
Right. You do have to keep books, but that you turn in. But I know people who have gotten jobs working in the industry, and they say, you cannot totally control all the money that's going under the table. And also the gifting. We have a loophole, again, of gifting.
And
So
just give it away, and then I pay taxes. 569-1080. We're talking to Joe McGuire, who's from Colorado, also Rachel Petra with the State Chamber. Steve, you're on.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I was just wondering about employment screening.
Rachel handle that one.
Oh, actually, I'd like to know how it's working in Colorado, but that is definitely one of the concerns that we have, Steve, because there is no consistent testing. And, there are some cases in Colorado, maybe Joe can talk about that, but the point here is if it's legal to do on Saturday night when you're not working, if you arrive Monday, are you still impaired? Big question mark. It's on your own time. There's just some big question marks. I think that from a liability standpoint, employers up here are uncomfortable adding on to being number one as far as workers' comp costs in the nation. Gosh, this just adds one more nail in that coffin.
We have seen...
I know that, for me to maintain my employment with my company, I get drug tested. I know that's not true for union
do you
folks
pass
or
those,
NEA,
Steve?
but...
Steve, do you pass those?
Every time.
All right. And Joe, how's it affecting Colorado?
Right. A point that I would really like to make, we have seen an increase in positive marijuana tests in the workplace that has been exponential. However, employers really need to understand that with the unlimited concentrates and the products that have come out of this is, all of these byproducts, you'll hear, well, what people do in their home on Friday night doesn't affect me on Monday morning, so I'm cool with it. But these highs are now lasting for 3 to 5 days.
Wow.
And so you have people who, as Dan mentioned, get messed up, and it lasts longer and the effects last longer. And if you just read Maureen Dowd's blog on CNN where she talked about her visit to Colorado where she ate cookies and said for 3 days she could barely, she felt like she was going crazy and losing her mind. That is going to have an impact in the workplace.
This is all so sad.
It is very sad. And when you think about public health and safety, and we're really looking at safe and drug-free workplaces and just the impact to the employer financially, those are going to be huge losses.
We're talking to Joe McGuire, who is from Colorado, of Substance Media Organization. He's telling us about how the impacts of the Colorado legalization has affected that state. Rachel Petro with the state chambers here. We'll continue with Joe and Rachel right after this. Steve, thanks for your call. 569-1080 if you'd like to jump in. 569-1080. The time currently 7:58 on Fagan, Bonnie, and Biegel.
On any and all new 2014s in stock. That's the official pricing set by Ford. And you can use your PFD today. Here's a Chevy Cobalt, just $59.50. Here's a Chevy Suburban, just $10.9. Here's a Ford Explorer, just $11.9. Here's a Ford Expedition, just $12.9. This is your chance to automatically qualify for Ford's Friends and Neighbors pricing, so don't miss it. And folks, we need your trade-in, so push, pull, or drag it in and you'll get top dollar. It's Giant Worthington Ford on Gamble.
ID number 818736 and 06 Chevy Cobalt, number 215898 and 04 Chevy Suburban, number A62358 and 08 Ford Expedition, number B74202 and 07 Ford Explorer.
Friends and Neighbors pricing excludes Raptor MKC and Fleet Deal on approved credit, subject to prior sales. See dealer for details.
Ends October 9th.
Not just talk. Hot talk. KOAN Anchorage. 95.1 FM. 1080 AM.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Lisa Brady. The Dallas Ebola patient has died 10 days after he was hospitalized, more than 2 weeks since traveling to Texas from Liberia. Fox News Radio's Evan Brown has more live.
Lisa, Thomas Eric Duncan lost his battle with Ebola this morning in Dallas at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital. The matter of his infection coming into the public eye late last month has been the catalyst for increased concern and vigilance for the spread of Ebola to the United States. Despite being well while traveling, Duncan became ill after arriving in Dallas to visit family. He was discharged from the hospital ER when he first complained of feeling sick and readmitted after worsening. Doctors this week say Duncan spent the weekend in great pain, needing intubation and kidney dialysis. Lisa?
Evans Secretary of State John Kerry moments ago urging more countries to step up to help contain the West Africa outbreak.
Now is the time for action, not words. And frankly, there is not a moment to waste in this effort.
Just out of a meeting with Britain's Foreign Secretary. Meantime, airports and other ports of entry in the U.S. being ordered by Homeland Security now to look for signs of any potential Ebola infection. Until now, the focus has been screening air travelers leaving West Africa. Gay marriages in 2 states blocked at the U.S. Supreme Court. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
Just minutes before Idaho and Nevada would have been forced to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy put that on hold, temporarily blocking an appeals court ruling striking down same-sex marriage bans in those states. A day after the Supreme Court refused to take up appeals from 5 other states where same-sex marriage was ruled unconstitutional, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in Idaho allowed gay marriage to go forward. Kennedy's order simply gives time for both sides to offer arguments and could last only a few days, Lisa.
Jared, thanks. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Attention homeowners. I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I have some important information for you regarding the U.S. government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. We've told you about HARP in the past, and more than 3 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this money-saving program. But there are so many more of you who could be saving hundreds of dollars every month on your mortgage. And Quicken Loans is here to help you save your money. The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HARP guidelines. If you weren't HARP eligible in the past, new guidelines could mean that now you are. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage review. It's simple and easy. And for 4 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN. Or go to QuickenLoans.com for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance costs. For cost information, equal housing lender license in all 50 states.
The highway, a strip of asphalt to carry you between points A and B. But in an all-new 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLA, there is no point B. Because when you're driving a GLA from Mercedes-Benz, you're not concerned with the destination, only the adventure. With off-road transmission mode and a sleek design, this SUV performs with confident style on any terrain. And no matter where your adventure takes you, the all-new GLA's sporty, expressive styling fits in, yet stands out, complementing the many sides of you. See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer today and see the world differently in a GLA 250 4MATIC, starting at $33,300.
MSRP for a 2015 GLA 250 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
When Malarkey Mark Begich ran for U.S. Senator, he made a lot of claims about his record as Anchorage mayor. Begich knew the truth wouldn't come to light before the election. But now, history has caught up with Malarkey Mark. Under Begich, Anchorage taxes went up 27%. Under Begich, the city budget ballooned, a $142 million increase in spending. Under Begich, the city was saddled with unprecedented 5-year union contracts. Under Begich, a deficit of over $20 million was left for the next mayor to deal with. Begich left Anchorage in serious trouble. Alaska's Energy, America's Values paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EnergyandValues.com.
Why is A&A the shop Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A the shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A the shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River. Hot Talk. We're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
8:06 in the morning. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. You play by the rules. You make the right decisions. You put your money away. You want to leave something for your family. Well, you need some help with that. It's not as easy as you think. And there are people who are experts, like Mike Daniels at Country Financial. Country Financial and the country representatives here in Alaska, where there are 13 locations here in Alaska, 5 in Anchorage, 5 in the Valley. You sit down with these guys for 10 minutes, you're going to realize there's a lot you don't know about getting to a place where you're going to have a worry-free retirement. Give the folks at Country Financial a call. You'll be thrilled you did. Just 10 minutes listening to them and talking to them. They're going to ask you questions you never even thought of answering as far as financial planning and getting to a successful retirement. Here's the number, 866-COUNTRY. Country Financial, 866-COUNTRY. The word country is spelled
COUNTRY.
That's the only reason we have her, Joe.
Jeez.
To answer that word.
Oh, that's so fun.
We're talking to Joe McGuire from Colorado, the group of Substance Media, and also Rachel Petro, president of the state chamber. And we're talking about what has happened in Colorado as a result of legalizing marijuana. The picture is not pretty. Bonnie has a question for you, but I just want to repeat something you said during the break. This initiative passed by how many points?
55 to 45.
55 to 45. The polling now, after 2 years in, says
60% of the voters are having buyer's remorse. They wish they could take their vote back.
So they went from 45% of the voters opposing it to 60%.
Correct.
15% rise after they saw the fruits of this decision.
Exactly.
And let's not forget that Amendment 64, what voters passed in Colorado, and they now have buyer's remorse, is almost exactly like what we have on our ballot,
right?
In ballot measure 2. So Alaskans, whoa, buddy, let's take note.
You brought that up, by the way, that they want to compare us to Washington, and I know that they're whenever somebody wants to change something, they want the best possible, even if it's unfair.
Look at the shiny object over here, Glenn.
Review. Yeah. But Colorado's the right one to compare us to.
It is, and Joe can speak more eloquently to it because she's obviously lived this for a couple of years now. But the Washington measure was like 60 pages, took several years to write, much more detailed than Colorado's. Colorado's and Alaska's kind of sets the floor under which you can regulate, and you can't regulate beyond that. So it's really, really important, and that's why we've invited Joe up to just share what's Colorado's experience? What did the Marijuana Policy Project promise in Colorado, and what's actually happening today? And it's just a good opportunity for Alaskans to know what to expect. Should we approve ballot measure 2?
And I have a question along those lines too. Right now we're being told by our police union how understaffed and overworked they are. So if this passes, there's no test that they can give for being high, like walking a line for if you're drunk.
That's correct.
So are our police going to have to spend all their time looking for high drivers, and how does that work?
This is such a great point. You'll hear language that this will save police tons of money. However, the opposite is true, because the time and effort that it takes to determine impairment roadside is really costing law enforcement out of their own pocket. There's no reimbursement for this, and so the regulations that were put in place required a drug recognition expert roadside, and yet police officers, they have to pay for that training, and it's incredibly expensive. And you're exactly right, there is no impairment test for marijuana. It's a very different type of product. So we're having to rely on blood draws when alcohol is ruled out. Now realize, But if someone blows positive on the breath alcohol test, in Colorado, we go no further. We just do the alcohol. We take that. So when it becomes a question of marijuana, we have to get the blood draw, and we go into a very lengthy administrative process that's incredibly costly and is taking manpower. It can take between 6 and 15 hours to get someone the blood test that they need, and so they're just eating this expense. There's no reimbursement, and our roads are not safer. In fact, we're increasing danger on the roads, and so this is a terrible dilemma, and we're going to see outcome of this for years ahead. And I just hope that in Alaska you can learn from our mistakes. That's really why I'm here.
Well, and also here in Alaska, the roads are so bad when you're not high or drunk that it worries me, because it does impair your judgment and it slows your judgment.
Right.
And I don't understand how people can. They'll say, oh, well, people will just be relaxed and they won't get in a car. That is so ridiculous of an argument. I can't even.
You actually slow your response time. So if you're under the influence of marijuana, you cannot react quickly. So if you're thinking about, you're on an icy road, maybe an animal runs out in front of you, or even a person or another car pulls out in front of you, your time to slow down or stop or react is slowed. And there are many studies on this that can help with that information, and we need to kind of get that information out there so people can understand it.
I want to address my conservative libertarian friends, who some are saying, yeah, live and let live. But when you really look at what's behind this movement and who's behind this movement, George Soros spent how much in Colorado getting this thing happen?
Several $million.
Yeah.
And that was through the marijuana policy project.
Yes.
And so, yeah, okay.
And he's pumping money here in Alaska too. George Soros, in case you don't know, far left winger, anarchist, really. That's my opinion. And he's really the guy behind this let's make marijuana legal in America thing.
Correct.
So before you jump on the, hey, this is a freedom movement, it's really not being backed by freedom money.
Right.
The most anti-freedom individual on the planet, in my opinion, is George Soros, and he has billions to back up his cause, and he's really the main driver for this whole cause.
Well, one way to think about it on that vein is, so for the libertarians out there, do you really want more government? And we don't have a problem right now. We don't have an incarceration problem with marijuana here in the state. People aren't getting. It's not a first offense. You're not getting pulled over because you.
How
might
many
be
people
smoking marijuana?
incarcerated based on pot?
It's like 11 or 12. Right?
Yeah, it's not very many. Somewhere around 11 that are in jail just for marijuana. And basically, it's just not enforced because the laws on it and the rules on it are pretty lax. I had a question for you. What was the main driver for those polls to change? So the people passed it 55-45. Now they can't get rid of it unless there's 2/3. You said that want to get rid of it.
Majority vote.
So that would take an enormous, massive change in public opinion. You've already had a large public change. What was the cause for them? What were they sold, and then what did they find out that they were buying that they didn't like?
And we're talking to Joe McGuire, who's from Colorado, giving us a lowdown on what happened there.
That's a very interesting question, and one of the things that I hear from people is there's two things. They did not realize what a huge impact they would have. They thought we would be controlling this. It feels very out of control in our communities. But here's the issue.
Well, we legalized a drug. I mean, people can have as much of it as they want.
Oh, but you can just regulate it like you do alcohol.
So people really didn't think if we legalized a drug that people wouldn't want more of it and take as much as they could.
They got the impression that it would be controlled, and they wouldn't see it. If I don't use it, then I don't have to see it or deal with it. That's not true.
Wouldn't spill into the streets.
Like alcohol.
Let me just explain to you what happened.
Well, we're gonna run out of time.
Yeah, just real quick.
If you're drinking alcohol, the person next to you is not getting drunk. But if someone next to me is smoking a joint, I'm covered in it, I'm inhaling it, and I don't have the right to tell them to stop.
Wow.
So that's taking away from my freedom.
Joe McGuire, thank you for coming in to Colorado. Rachel Petro, thank you for stopping by. You'll be out at the Alaska Business Alliance, Matsu Business Alliance, out at Evangelo's Restaurant today at noon.
Correct.
Great.
Sign up online, alaskachamber.com.
814 Fagan Biegel Bonnie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giesel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giesel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giesel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools, not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
You're on with Fagan on Hot Talk K. Weekdays 6 to 9
a.m. 8:17 in the morning. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. You know, we're listening to this gal from Colorado. Paints a pretty bleak picture of what this legalizing pot has done to her state. I saw it personally in California, and it's just the only thing I can say is it's just so sad.
But they know they've got to get this through fast because you keep hearing stories like this. It's gone from 55% approval to a 40%
where they were against it, right?
Right, 60% of the people are against this. Man, I tell you, any of these facts leak out that kids are getting marijuana from their parents who are sitting there and the Mom and Dad, why are you smoking? Is that good for you? Oh, yes, son, it's very good for you. This is no problem. Here, have some. Yeah, right. Yeah. And the right to object I thought was good, too. I think the case can be made here. I think she made it pretty well that this is not really what people think it is. Legalizing marijuana is going to have a pretty dramatic impact.
I'm just trying to figure out. I don't mean to be judgmental here. I honestly don't. This is me being curious. How does someone wake up every morning, get out of bed, and say, my life's purpose today is to bring more drugs to my state, to increase the use of marijuana in my state? How does someone live that life? I'm not judging them. I'm just curious. How do you do that?
I mean, is it because they're doing it already and they just want to not feel bad about it? Because I do know, I've read the comments of a lot of people who are just for it. They don't necessarily do it. I mean, they're finding teachers who are in support of it. I don't think there's many happy parents about that.
You must have a pretty empty life. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people. First of all, there is no creature on earth as self-justifying as a human being.
Very true.
Whatever it is.
Let me put it a different way, which you will not like.
Okay. Oh, no. Are we going to go heart?
The heart can be so deceptive.
All right. I'm not going to say that. We self-justify whatever it is we're doing. If we're abusive to our wives, we self-justify that. Oh, well, look, somebody hurt me when I was younger. I'm taking this alcohol. I can't control myself. She keeps doing things that make me mad.
The heart tells you it's okay.
Right. So we self-justify whatever it is. And the fact is there's a lot of people who are using the drug and they don't want to feel bad about it. And so what they'd like for it to be legal. And, so I think that's got to be a big part of it.
Let me tell you a story. You're going to hate it. You're going to absolutely hate it. You're going to throw things at me.
No.
I got Two guys that I know.
I don't have anything to throw. Give me something to throw. I'll throw my
They work together on the staff of a church, and they're having a staff meeting. And one guy, Danny, and the other guy's name is Chris. Danny says to Chris, and they've worked together for 25 years on the same church staff. Danny says to Chris, Danny, there are 3 times in the last month where I've noticed you've had pride. And Chris thinks about it, and he thinks about the examples, and he says, Danny, I just don't think that's true. Danny's got to get on a plane, so he's leaving. So Chris goes home, and he's laying in bed at night. He's thinking, I just think Danny's wrong about that. I see how he could have seen that, but I don't think I was in pride there. And then Chris decides, because he's been through so much with Danny, he decides, you know what? I'm just going to believe Danny because he's a friend of mine. He has my best interest at heart. And I am going to just accept the fact that I had pride, even though I don't see it. But I trust Danny enough that I will accept that as true. And he, in his heart, asked God to forgive him at that moment. He said at that split second, God revealed to him how he was prideful. And he fell on the ground and wept all night. That's how the heart can be so deceptive. It's so easy to fool ourselves. It's so easy to tell ourselves that we're justified in what we're doing. And that's why having people like Glen Biegel in your life, or friends who will tell you something that maybe you might not want to hear all the time, is so valuable. And sometimes, like when Glenn told me about Sarah Palin and how bitter I was about her, he was dead on, and I just, he changed my life. Sometimes you have to trust a friend more than you trust your own heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really at the core of what you're saying. I know you don't like me talking about it in terms of the heart. But
You're so cold.
But that's literally what you're saying. Is it not?
Yeah, there got to be. I can't think of any good reasons why you would want. What did the lady say? So after it's commercialized, that's really what we're talking about. Not just legalized, not just decriminalized, commercialized
and regulated.
There are more, and not even, but it's not regulated. This is one of the things she said is, you can crossbreed plants. How do you know something's marijuana and not heroin? How do you know something is marijuana and not cocaine?
Well, the potency could be off the chart.
But the fact is, well, there's THC, but what if you start crossbreeding and cross-straining these different things? You don't think that some commercial organization is going to want you to get just a little bit higher? Oh, this is Alaska Red, my friend. You've never had this kind of marijuana, and you may not have.
That's why George Soros is bankrolling it, because he just really wants a nation of people that'll do what he says.
Don't you wonder what the heck it is that's about? So anyway, I thought commercializing is really what we're talking about here, and I know that people probably think, this is a freedom movement, and in the end, but my guess is, for the most part, this is mostly selfish. We don't arrest people for marijuana use. It's mostly legal, personal use in your home. You're not allowed to give it to your children. That was another scary thing that she said. Once it's legal for the parents, they start giving it to their children so that they can justify their own actions once again.
Yep.
She said so many things that were scary. The most powerful thing, though, was people have changed their mind. They thought that this was a good idea. They thought George Soros was right. 55% of people voted for it. Now 60% are against.
45 initially were against it. Now 70% are against it. Or 60% are against it.
Yeah, 60% against it.
Yeah, so that's a huge increase.
Anyway, and then you look at all the different concentrates and different kinds of products. I think they got rid of the lollipops, but they still have chocolates and everything. I'm trying to think what would happen if chocolate were not really legal, you couldn't sell it in a store, and all of a sudden you made chocolate legal. What do you think would happen to the use of chocolate?
It might, and I wanted to say my useful idiot friends in the libertarian movement, but I won't say useful idiots because that's not appropriate. It doesn't help anything.
I'm kind of in the movement.
I think you just did.
The libertarian folks don't understand what is at the core of this, and it is, look, every time there's been tyranny, it's predicated by chaos. By anarchy. Tyranny always follows tyranny, anarchy and chaos. That's how the left rolls. The left, the big power players on the left, the George Soroses, the Barack Obamas, the Mark Begich, they're all about tyranny. But they must have chaos and anarchy first. Civilization must crumble. We must double the amount of people on food stamps. We must take away jobs. We must bring in more marijuana. We've got to have the family unit disintegrate. We have to have marriage redefined. This is what they're about. And for my libertarian friends, not that you're useful idiots or anything, you think it's about freedom. It's not about freedom. It's about tyranny. You're cooperating with the tyrannical pushers. Am I wrong on that, Glenn?
Well, it's very critical that people hear what you were trying to say about Mark Begich. To me, the only offset to big government is family. No one has done more damage to families, to fathers, to people mattering in their children's lives than the Democrats. No one. It's not even close. Republicans try to fight this every chance that they get, and they try to make a difference, and we're just not that powerful because they have the power of the purse. So I do agree. There is massive tyranny in inner cities. There is massive tyranny and chaos. I mean, there's massive chaos in inner cities. There's massive chaos out in our bush where they have disintegrated the family. They have disintegrated the social structures that are out there. Now, they think they're doing good. People are so self-justifying. Well, look, they're hungry people, so rather than have some church give you food, we're going to give it to you through a credit card that the government's going to give you, and frankly, you're going to live pretty well. You're going to have more money per child than I have. Well, unfortunately, there's damage that's done, which is really one of the main questions I want to ask Mark Begich, because this really does get down to him. And a lot of people are deceived that the amount of damage that he's done, not just through debt, not just through piling, I think it's something like $30,000 for every child that he's piled onto the next generation. But does he answer for the damage that he has done to families and the chaos that he will bring and that he is bringing every day?
569-1080, 569-1080. That's the number if you'd like to join the broadcast. Our friends at Earhart Roofing, Frank and Becky Earhart, they're the best. Their son James, the best roofing company in all of Alaska. They're so good at what they do, they can guarantee it, their work for 50 years. I've just never heard of anything like that. They've been in business 42 years, 17 trucks, 60 employees, always the lowest bidder. And listen, they can handle industrial, commercial, residential. It's just a no-brainer, folks. If you need a new roof, Earhart Roofing. Great folks, conservative, patriotic, love this country, very engaged in the advancement of freedom in this country. That's Frank and Becky Earhart and their son James over at Earhart Roofing. The number 345-5555. 345-5555. That's Earhart Roofing. All right, we'll take a quick break. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. 8:28 is the time.
There, give them a call. 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
Local news brought to you by Jansen Funeral Homes, Jansen's Evergreen Memorial Chapel, Jansen's Alaska Cremation Center, and Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home. Jansen Funeral Homes, where just like family, they're there when you need them.
With KOAN News, I'm Ann Kenda. Gay rights activists are expressing confidence that it won't be long before same-sex marriage is legal in Alaska. On Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court effectively made gay marriage legal in 30 states when it declined to hear an appeal on the subject. The next day, an appeals court struck down gay marriage bans in Nevada and Ohio. For now, Alaska's ban is still in place, but many legal analysts say it's not likely to withstand the challenge. Juneau is considering raising tax on tobacco products to bring in millions to city coffers. Supporters say it also coincides with a drop in smoking, especially among young people who don't have the cash to support the habit. A scheduling hearing is planned for tomorrow in Anchorage's lawsuit against Uber Technologies, which runs an app that allows people to order up a ride in a privately driven car. The lawsuit alleges that the app is a violation of transit laws. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Sunshine and clouds, chilly for this afternoon, high 36. For tonight, mostly clear and cold with a brief flurry, low 20. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow, high 39. Cloudy skies tomorrow night, low 32. Friday, rain, high 45. Saturday, high 48. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Hey folks, this is Chris and Brock from The Beer Show. Make sure to listen to us every Saturday at 5 p.m. on 95.1 and 1080 KOAN.
The Beer Show is brought to you proudly every single week by Humpy's Great Alaskan Ale House, Brown Jug Alaska, Great Artisan Beverages, and the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
You don't have to have a sweet tooth to consume too much sugar during the day. It's often disguised in some of your favorite and seemingly healthy foods. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Americans consume 130 pounds of sugar per person every year. That's a third of a pound a day. All that sugar is addicting. It leaves us craving more and more. You know, sugar isn't just in candies and cake anymore. It's in salad dressings, yogurt, coffee drinks, and bread. Ketchup can be deceptively high in sugar. In fact, many foods advertised as non-fat still taste sweet because they've taken out the fat but added in even more sugar for taste. So no matter how healthy the food is advertised, always check out that nutrition label and look at the sugar count. Energy bars should have less than 12 grams of sugar, and choose cereals with less than 10 grams per serving. And to curb your cravings, sugar-free gelatin is a quick, sweet treat. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Does your furnace need repair? Your house need cleaning? Or maybe you're ready to update your kitchen? Big or small, whatever your home improvement need, log on to handyman.homeadvisor.com. Home Advisor is a free online resource with instant access to top-rated remodelers, maids, handymen, roofers, and many other home contractors. It's easy and it's free. Just go to handyman.homeadvisor.com. Handyman.homeadvisor.com. That's handyman.homeadvisor.com.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-953-4036. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-953-4036. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-953-4036.
Well, howdy, I'm Nick Worthington, Ford Giant, Worthington Ford. And folks, we're having a huge sale. Right now, you can get friends and neighbors pricing automatically on any and all new 2014s in stock. That's the official pricing set by Ford. And you can use your PFD today. Here's a Chevy Cobalt, just $59.50. Here's a Chevy Suburban, just $10.9. Here's a Ford Explorer, just $11.9. Here's a Ford Expedition, just $12.9. This is your chance to automatically qualify for Ford's Friends and Neighbors pricing, so don't miss it. And folks, we need your trade-in, so push, pull, or drag it in and you'll get top dollar. It's Giant Worthington Ford on Gamble.
ID number 818736 and 06 Chevy Cobalt. Number 215898 and 04 Chevy Suburban. Number A62358 and 08 Ford Expedition. Number B74202 and 07 Ford Explorer.
Friends and Neighbors pricing excludes Raptor, MKC, and Fleet Deals. On approved credit, subject to prior sales. See dealer for details.
Ends October 9th.
You know, there are many people in Anchorage who have their own special place for gifts for occasions like Mother's Day or birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Into Bell's Nursery and Gifts they go. And there's always something perfect. Bell's Gift Shop on Specking Road has a truly incredible selection of unique creative gift ideas. Crystal, glass, and china and flatware. A wonderful kitchen section. Candles, lotions and potions, and of course delicious Seas candies and lots more. Great for browsing or finding that special gift. The Gift Shop at Bell's Nursery on Specking Road.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569.
$8:35. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. This is very controversial because libertarians are they're people who have strong convictions, and I'm not doubting their intention. I believe that they believe that they're fighting for freedom. But the way I view it, there's nothing more destructive than a counterfeit that's closest to the truth. If you're an evil, nasty person that's mean-spirited and just ugly and treat people horribly, you're revealed for who you are. But if you're one of those people who's fake nice and gossips behind people's back and pretend like your friend to their face, you will do much more destruction than that evil, mean, nasty person who's outwardly just ornery. Because it's a close counterfeit to what you should be. People don't really know who you are. And when you look at the hard left, we look at them, most people have common sense independence, as Glenn says, we think they're, what? How could you believe that? So they don't really influence us. But it's my belief that the Libertarian Party has jumped in bed with the left, and on many occasions, the demonization of corporations, demonization of the Republican Party, the idea that we're supposed to be amoral on all issues, the protection of an innocent life, whether we should legalize drugs. And I believe the libertarian movement, in the end, will probably cause more harm to our country than even the hard left, because they're a counterfeit of what I believe is the freedom movement, which is what I believe the conservative movement is about. You would disagree, Glenn?
No, not really. In general, I haven't found libertarianism to be a very useful ideology because it's never been tried. It doesn't exist anywhere. It's theoretical. And what it is it supposedly gives young people a pass so that they can say, oh, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not responsible for what happened. I have no sins whatsoever. I'm about freedom. And that's what it's about. But I generally think people should be allowed to do what they want as long as it doesn't affect other people, with the following exceptions. You are not allowed to commit fraud against somebody else. The government's job is to prevent you and punish you if you commit fraud. Can you give somebody else cocaine and not commit fraud? I don't believe so. Can you give somebody else heroin and not commit fraud? I don't think so. We are not allowed to be slaves. Heroin is an enslaving drug. I think most drugs are probably enslaving. I think in cases of marijuana, especially when it's used by adolescents and then throughout life, is enslaving because it prevents you from accomplishing your goals in life.
Many more people enslaved to alcohol than any drug.
Many more people enslaved to alcohol.
So should we outlaw alcohol?
I'm not trying to figure out how to undo or redo the things of the past. We have gotten to where we are. We already fought this battle. I would suggest people don't use alcohol if you want a good life.
Don't use it to excess.
If you want a life that is full,
everything in moderation.
Fill it with something else.
Not everything in
but
moderation.
That's it. Look, not everything.
Not everything in moderation.
You don't want to bungee jump, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I suppose that's
all right. There we go.
There are some moral things you shouldn't do in any moderation.
Anyway, but so look, as far as libertarianism,
don't hit your wife in moderation.
As far as libertarianism goes, I don't find much use for it. What I do find use for is trying to have a conversation with young people who are trying to find their way. They don't get conservatism. And what modern conservatism has been is, just as the left says, we will design your society from Washington, D.C., and then we will tell you how you in Alaska will live. This is liberalism. Liberalism is the farther away power is from you, the wiser it becomes. The farther power is away, the more money it has, the more beneficial it is. You don't think Mark Begich thinks he's doing more good as a senator than he did as a mayor? Of course he does. The farther bureaucracy away is for the left. Now, for conservatives, it's gotten a little confusing. I think conservatives, in some cases, lost their way. We have to realize that the foundation of the country is 50 experiments, or 13 at the time, experiments in liberty. Different places wanted to have different rules about marriage. They wanted to have different rules about how, what kind of businesses you could have and what kind of products you could sell. There was all kinds of, first of all, they didn't really have any restrictions or rules about drugs at all when our country was founded. What they found was, though, as we became wealthier, we became stupider, and people could do damaging things to themselves, so we had to make things illegal because there was such a dramatic societal impact. That society does have a role to play. So my goal is, I don't really get a lot out of libertarians. I like to communicate with them, and I like to talk to them, so I will speak their language so that we understand each other. I don't want people to go to jail because they use marijuana. Okay? That's where I am on it. I don't want people to go to jail because they use alcohol unless they're in a car. Marijuana, same thing, basically. That's where I kind of come down. Do I want it commercialized? Absolutely not. Do I think it's a stupid thing for you to do? Absolutely. So anyway, I'm trying to feel my way too. But what I don't like is I don't like pure libertarianism. I don't find any use for it. I don't find it enacted anywhere. I do like state-based libertarian. I know that Alaska does not want to have the same rules about how we govern our lives as California. And I accept that. California is perfectly allowed to have a 13% income tax. Massachusetts is allowed to enact its own universal health care system, but I don't want to enact that here. I want to have our own right to enact what we want to do for health care here. I don't want Washington, D.C. to tell me from the left, and I don't want Washington, D.C. to tell me from the right. So that I look at state-based libertarianism as sort of the founding principle of the country. New York would not have allowed Georgia or the federal government to tell it how to run its affairs. That's just the way we were. We didn't like government, and we certainly didn't like centralized government. So hopefully that's a little more of a complete explanation. Maybe it's too complete. I don't know. Sorry.
I think more people would realize they're actually just really Republicans if the lines between Republican and Democrat weren't so blurred anymore. Because they're starting to identify themselves as libertarians when really they're just Republicans.
Look what happened when Republicans had power: the presidency, the House, the Senate.
Yeah.
We cut taxes dramatically.
They cut taxes, but they increased spending. They increased the centralizing of power. They didn't undo any of the bad things.
We liberated 50 million people. We had 2 wars.
Yeah.
The other thing that this Carolyn Carecliff that was here the other day,
Libertarian candidate for governor.
Right. She suggested that libertarians are for open borders, but libertarians are about our country being independent. If you have open borders, you don't have a country. Is that a new thing that libertarians are saying?
This is where it gets to. This is the theory of libertarianism, right? Libertarianism is not an ideology, it's a theory. She talks about non-aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, yeah. Well, you go into an inner city and you tell me about a government having a non-aggression pact with citizens. The fact is that first of all, we live in one of the most violent cultures around. I believe that it's violent because so many people have been convinced that they're victims and that somebody else is responsible and that they can't pull themselves out and that this world and this country is not a great thing for them. So this non-aggression pact, it's all theory. These are total theories. They have no establishment anywhere in reality, and people can say whatever they want. When they start to govern, what they'll realize, the world is a little bit of a messy place. And frankly, we need to have, a society has the right to protect itself, A, from slavery, and B, from fraud, which is what I believe as a libertarian-leaning conservative.
569-1080, 8:44 is the time.
Fagan and Biegel. Give them a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
The traffic jam. A stifling halt to your thrilling drive. But in a redesigned 2015 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, that interruption is at least tolerable. With the most luxurious interior in its class and an innovative touchpad, the all-new 2015 C-Class is as exciting to experience standing still as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. To your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for a 2015 C300 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
There is in every true woman's heart a spark of heavenly fire, which lies dormant in the broad daylight of prosperity, but which kindles up and beams and blazes in the dark hour of adversity. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit, the University of Alaska, Anchorage College of Health, U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, and State Senator Liesl McGuire are calling on Alaska's brightest women to come together to work on finding answers to the toughest questions facing Alaskan women and families. Join us for 2 days, October 16th and 17th, focusing on building communities of change, self-advocacy, and removing the glass ceiling. Learn how empowerment and mentorship are vital tools in fostering successful young women. Presented by GCI. Also sponsored by Salt Shack, ConocoPhillips, and BP. Register online today, AlaskaWomenSummit.com. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit. Come and spark your fire.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan.
Fagan, Bonnie, and Biegel here on a Wednesday morning, the 8th of October. Welcome to the broadcast. Our number, 569-1080, 569-1080. We're broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT. We're glad you're here. Don Young was going to run against Sarah Palin for governor. I don't see. Oh, there it is. What do you make of that? That was back in what, 2000?
Must have been 2006, but he'd been up against Frank Murkowski, and because maybe if she ran again, she ended up getting out.
Oh, is that what it says?
No, I don't know. I saw the quote from somewhere, and now it's gone. It was on KTU. Did you find it again?
Yeah, I see it. This is a story of the interview he did with Grace Jang. What do you make of Young, Glenn?
I think he's got around a 78% conservative rating. He is a fairly big spender, and I thought that if people don't realize that Forrest Dunbar is a fantastic public spokesman, he's the guy running against Don Young, and that over time, as we liberalize as a state, as more and more people move up here from California and Oregon and Washington, that Forrest Dunbar is going to become a real threat. I don't think, no matter what Republican we put forward this time, I think they could have beat Forrest Dunbar. But as far as Don Young goes...
Wait, you don't think we'll be able to beat Forrest Dunbar?
I think over time Forrest Dunbar will become less and less beatable. Yeah, I think there's a real danger, especially as we keep putting Don Young up against him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't agree with that because, when you look at statewide office, there's always some extenuating circumstance when a Democratic wins. Ted Stevens, convicted 5 days before the election. Tony Knowles, running against two conservatives twice. And that's it.
You don't think the Democrats can come up with an extenuating circumstance on Don Young?
I mean, he's coming up with his own on his
He's coming up. He threatened Forrest Dunbar with his life.
Well, no, look, he's going to beat Don Young's going to beat Forrest Dunbar.
I agree. this time.
But I don't know why you say that the Democrats are gaining. I don't think they are. Sean Parnell just beat Ethan Berkowitz for governor in record numbers. It was the biggest margin ever in a governor's race.
Sean Parnell is sane.
Sean Parnell he's down 2 points in the poll.
Safe.
In the poll that we
but that's
we
extenuating
believe.
circumstances because there are people like Eddie Burke and many conservatives who think Bill Walker's a conservative, and that's why they're doing well. I just don't think there's enough leftists and liberals in this state to elect somebody statewide unless there's extenuating circumstances. And in a Don Young, Forrest Dunbar race, I think 5 more times. Of course, Don Young will be 90 by then. He's 81 now. I just don't think Democrats have enough people in this state yet. Now, they may eventually, but frankly, as we continue to grow our resource development sector, I think that we're going to get more conservatives up here. And so I just don't see Democrats. I don't see us becoming a left-wing state anytime soon.
Well, what we're going to need is people who are willing to step up and run against Don Young, and somebody who is, very conservative.
Let me tell you who I think would beat Don Young in the primary. Joe Miller, John Coghill, Dan Sullivan, the mayor. I could name 100 people that if they took Don Young on next time, they'd beat him.
You think Sean Parnell lost, and he barely lost. I think it was 52-48, something like that.
Horrible
and he made such a mess of mistakes.
Terrible campaign. Yeah. And the Captain Zero thing stuck.
Yeah.
And at that point, Sean Parnell hadn't done anything. Sean Parnell has a really good record right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 36% approval rating.
Who?
Don Young.
Statewide?
Yeah, what I'm told.
Well, so Dunbar's going to win.
No. I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
Don Young has a 36% rating on the Heritage Action scorecard.
Well, no,
for conservatism.
No, listen. Don Young will never get my vote because the single most communistic piece of legislation ever introduced, other than FDR's taxing 100% of your income over $25,000 back in the 30s, was Don Young supporting and voting in favor of the Employee Free Choice Act, which said that any business had 50+1 members sign cards, they automatically became a union shop, and if there was, from that point forward, a union shop steward was named in the business, one of the employees, and from that moment forward, the owner of that business, if he wanted to do anything involving employees, raises, time off, work rules, he had to go to the union steward and to get it approved. And if they didn't agree on it, a federal bureaucrat would come in with a binding answer. So if I own a pizza shop, I got 51 employees, I become a union shop, I want to cut 25 cents off their pay because my pizzas aren't selling. The union steward says no. A federal bureaucrat will come in and tell me, as the owner of my pizza shop, you can't do that. That is the single most communist thing I've ever heard. Don Young voted for it. I understand why he did. It's a big union state. He's got to support the unions, but I could never vote for the guy after that.
Yeah. Oh, and Don Young's got a 71% rating. But I totally agree with you from the American Conservative Union. That piece of legislation, if you're looking for individual reasons to vote against Don Young, he definitely keeps piling them up.
What was the one he did a few years ago with taxing bikes? Do you remember that?
Well, one of the bad things that he said was he wanted $1 per gallon additional tax on people's gasoline. Because he was on the transportation committee and he was trying to figure out how to get more money so that he could distribute more money to his buddies. And he wanted $1 a gallon tax on gasoline. If you can imagine, the most punitive tax to poor people.
It wasn't $1. It was more than that. I don't remember what it was.
Well, he said he wanted at least $1.
No,
so then what do you do? Do you not vote for him and let the Democrat eventually win? Or
well, no, if I thought Dunbar could win, I would vote for him.
Oh, okay.
I would vote for Don Young.
Oh.
Yeah, but I know that Don Young's not going to win.
So you don't really mean it.
You mean Dunbar?
No. I'm not gonna reward.
You're a quitter. No.
You're a quitter.
No, if I thought Dunbar could win.
Pride.
You're prideful. You're a quitter.
Right. I've left.
You're a useful idiot.
I'm not opposed to leaving the show. Yet.
Where's my reset button? Where's my reset button?
I will walk out on your asses right here, right now. Brian knows I mean it.
And I'm going to say, sit there and take it this time.
No, I ain't taking it. I don't have to take it. I'm too old for this.
Anyway, so what do I make of Don Young? I wish Alaska did not sentence people to life imprisonment in Washington, D.C. if we elected them to federal office. That's what I wish.
Term limits.
Term limits would be absolutely perfect. And then this is a new thing that I've come to. I don't like the idea of having to restrict who people want in, but the fact is we can't unelect Don Young.
Yes, we can.
I disagree with you, Jan.
And bureaucrats will be the rulers of this country. They already have so much power. But start plucking people out after 2 terms, the government will be run by bureaucrats.
What about if it was 2 12-year terms?
I trust the voters. I trust the voters.
I don't.
Look, you know how many incumbents are going down on November 4th?
Oh, it's going to be glorious.
If Republicans do everything right,
it's going to be a bloodbath. There are going to be so many Democrats falling.
No, it's going to be a liberty fountain.
Yeah.
How about that?
Just don't say anything stupid, Republicans.
Well, like Dan just did, a bloodbath. No, it's going to be a liberty fountain.
If Joe Miller had run against Don Young this time, Joe Miller would be our next congressman.
Really? I think he had to run a good campaign for Senate. I think what happened with him was necessary. It wasn't optional. He needed to run a good, clean campaign for Senate. And then I really think he's got his name back. I think he's got a great chance next time.
I agree with that, but in a Republican primary, Joe Miller would have beaten Don Young.
Maybe that is his future.
Because Joe Miller is an excellent candidate. He was so much better than Parnell was when he ran against Young.
Yeah. He's a great man. He's a great speaker.
Yeah, I think he would have just smoked Don Young.
So even with Don Young's monetary backing, because you have to have money to run.
Joe Miller had plenty of money.
Don Young did not have that much money to run for office. He really doesn't. He doesn't get all that much like a lot of other people. I think he had like $500,000. About $300,000 of it went to pay his legal bills.
Yeah, that's the other issue.
Well, and that's really part of the difficulty that we keep running across here is Don Young is more and more damage material.
He seems like a ticking time bomb.
Look, we heard from Ted Stevens 2 consecutive races. My job is to go down there and fight for money to come back to Alaska. That's what Don Young's job is. That's what Ted Stevens' job was. If that's what Alaska wants, then we can just take tyranny. Tyranny is what we get. Tyranny is what we deserve. We deserve the EPA coming in here, taking state land and shutting down a private business that'll employ 3,000 people a year. That's what we deserve.
Well, and now HUD's bringing in $7 million of other people's money for a certain amount of people.
Of our kids' money. Yeah. Yeah, it's so nice, and I really feel like these federal bureaucrats, this was my comment, by the way, on that. I said, I love it when they have pictures of politicians pointing at things because they look like little action figures.
Like they're actually doing something.
You know, like this Superman figure where he's pointing, off into the distance.
How about go there and don't do anything?
Well, look,
let's try that one.
They deserve no credit for spending my kids' money on this project. They do not. They don't get any moral credit. They don't get any legislative credit. They get no credit at all. Why don't you do something good for America and figure out how to get us more jobs and stronger families?
Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on Hot Talk KOAN 95.1 FM, 1080 a.m. and online at 1080KOAN.com.